Wait, what? No, it's not like that at all. It's like going to a Klan rally and being like, excuse me, I went to a BLM rally before and nobody got mad. And then I went to a Klan rally and everyone got mad. What is happening? YouTube's worst journalist, Tyler Oliveira, from friend of the show, Aubrey.
Been posting on Musically and Instagram. However, I think with this new camera, I might just start posting the pranks on YouTube. Might be pretty interesting, and I think you guys would enjoy it quite a bit.
Tyler Oliveira is a YouTuber turned investigative journalist.
I didn't expect to play journalist today, but I guess I am.
Is this something that an investigative journalist would do?
He's a profiteer of human misery, a poverty tourist, a parasite.
Come, please cancel me. Try to be as balanced as possible. We try to cover both sides to the best of our abilities, and sometimes we fall short. I'm not probably the best professional to note on this.
The year is 2025.
They're eating the dogs.
We live in an increasingly divided and polarized world.
I believe we should have a military presence on the southern border.
And with the next 4 years now on the horizon, flagrant disorder shows no sign of slowing down.
Anti-immigration rioters at a hotel
In a society where misinformation is rife, we need hard-hitting truth tellers to cut through the noise now more than ever. Journalistic powerhouses willing to ask the real questions.
Have you ever rodeo railed a cousin?
To veer away from propaganda.
Twitter is saying the Haitians are eating cats and can't drive.
And to lead by example. This is Tyler Oliveira, the man who claims to offer journalism that covers cultural decay with the incisive honesty so desperately needed right now. But is he really offering an accurate picture of today's landscape, or do his formulated narratives cause more harm than they do good? Let's find out.
A news station cannot make 10 million people care or watch an opioid crisis and be aware of it at a broader scale. We can. Every YouTuber I know has stumbled upon the skill set to get attention at scale. That attention is used for meaningless, mindless, dumb things. What if you could combine the attention gathering skills of YouTubers and attach them to anything that meant anything? Why not try to make it mean something? Because we're all gonna die so quickly. I feel like I'm on the verge of death. We're gonna die, Tyler. I don't even know where I'm going with this.
Tyler Oliveira's story begins the same way many other budding influencers do. Rejection.
Today, guys, we're gonna take a little look as to why I think I got rejected from every IB I applied to.
Launching his channel in 2018, Tyler mostly focused on assisting hopeful undergraduates in their college applications. However, rather than showing them what to do, he reviews his failed applications and explains where he may have gone wrong.
Related to your competitive advantage, your niche.
His first few videos cover the subjects of how to perform well, even if you're not particularly smart. His simple advice: sell yourself as the person they want you to be.
You need to sell yourself as that person to that college.
But this endeavor onto YouTube wasn't his first. In fact, earlier that year, Tyler had started the channel that focused on informing people how to make large amounts of money. This tweet indicates he was doing such a good job that the Federal Reserve called and was really pissed about his channel giving away all these lucrative secrets about money. We won't ever know these secrets, unfortunately, as the channel has been removed for violating community guidelines. So I guess the feds really meant business.
Today, I'm gonna be asking moms if they'll let me date their daughter.
And she's like, okay, she's like 21 years old, let's say, right? And she met a young man who's addicted to eating Tide Pods. Like, what the fuck?
When he wasn't disclosing exclusive trade secrets into financial management, Tyler Oliveira could be found writing books that get 2 stars on Amazon.
This man tried, oh my God. He tried everything. I didn't realize he was like a, initially I thought he was just like a Mr. Beast clone that turned into this guy. I didn't realize he was doing a how-to self-help before then. This makes so much more sense now.
And making Musicallys or Twitter videos, going Super Saiyan in a supermarket. Or playing donation roulette with a homeless person.
Today, I'm going to be offering a homeless person food, money, and condoms. Which one would you like?
That's fair.
Okay, that's fair. Good?
Yes, thank you.
As you can see, Tyler's talents knew no bounds, and clearly aware of his limitless potential, he decided he was going to take on the content creator.
That's literally Squid Games, by the way. What he did there is straight up in the 2nd season of Squid Games.
Grind with a passion and one dream: online super stardom.
I'll not be attending Pomona College. I'll be attending University of Southern California. Heck, folks, I won't be attending any college. Major in making cash money and a minor in stealing your girl.
There was no genre Tyler Oliveira wouldn't try, no matter how shameful or embarrassing. Hell, in 2018, as his channel was just starting up, he even stooped to the lows of commentary content. God, can you imagine doing that?
Which I think gained him around 130,000 plus subscribers, almost the same number of people that die each and every day. Ironic, isn't it?
Granted, it was pretty atrocious commentary, but I think these eclectic attempts at creating content, from vlogs to pranks to ripping off Michael McCrudden of all people, to just flat out embarrassing himself, showed that there was nothing that Tyler wasn't willing to do for attention, and naturally, it wasn't long until someone took the low-hanging fruit.
I love you so much, it hurts. You make me so happy. You are absolutely—
Although now known for an altogether different genre of content, in 2018, Ryan Trahan was an up-and-coming commentator on the platform. He made videos covering a wide variety of people, who you probably don't remember now, providing commentary and opinion-infused narratives about what certain influencers were up to. His style clearly inspired one Tyler Oliveira, who made a video titled "Ryan Trahan is Lying Proof," where he employs the old trick of name-dropping large creator to garner response. Of course, the video itself does not definitively prove anything that its title promises, more just serving as a showcase for Oliveira's complete—
Oh my God. It's so wild that these guys try like everything. It's always shocking to me.
complete ineptitude in creating original, meaningful commentary.
The video that launched him into fame was titled "Lauren Gray is Lying Proof," which inspired the title of this video and more or less the content. And the entire video revolves around Mr. Trahan comedically critiquing Lauren Gray and her flaws.
Oliveira merely seems to be mirroring other commentators. Here, ironically, he's most similar to Trahan himself, but he seems to have no grasp on the actual groundwork. So what you see is fundamentally pretty shallow. But then again, he doesn't need to say anything if his goal is just to bait a response, which in the end is exactly what ended up happening.
Tyler Oliveira, the man of the hour. I watched just one of his videos, one of them, and I got hooked. Just check this out.
On July 2nd, 2018, Ryan Trahan released the video "Why Ben Phillips Belongs in Jail," a video on the controversial British YouTuber known for his extreme stunts and pranks. However, the first 7 minutes of this video are dedicated to someone else, someone much closer to home.
You know your boy's on pussy patrol. You can see some fresh pussy in the vehicle.
This dude's definitely never seen a boob in real life.
It seems Tyler had spammed Trahan to the point where morbid curiosity overcame him, and he got to experience what—
So Ryan Trahan is responsible for this demon? This is why I have a no free clout policy. A lesson that it took far too long for me to learn.
we all unfortunately experienced a few minutes ago. Trahan does observe the obvious too, that Oliveira is obviously just desperate for views.
He's collecting a paycheck. Well, he's burning it after he gets it, but we're just gonna let him do his thing.
Be that as it may, Trahan did give Tyler the view baiter exactly what he wanted, but he probably didn't care. After all, most internet gremlins the creators shine lights on don't exactly ever make it out of their weird little niches. Unsurprisingly, Oliveira made another response farming this interaction, offering insight that I'll summarize for you in one sentence. Moving on, this only brought a few thousand views to the channel, and likely even fewer subscribers given the grounds that many came to his videos for. However, for Oliveira, it was enough to set his sights on a different, peculiar little creator you may or may not have heard of. Mr. Beast! I don't have to tell you that Mr. Beast is someone who has drawn a lot of controversy as of late. However, few are really brave enough to acknowledge perhaps the worst thing he's ever done. Jumpstart Tyler Oliveira's career. In 2018, Jimmy was still in the early stages of building his YouTube empire, sitting at a meager few million subscribers. Imagine, right? Pathetic. Yeah. This was at a time when he was still in touch with a lot of the YouTube community, one of his adoring fans being Tyler. It's not hard to see why our man would idolize someone like Mr. Beast so much. After all, he had always been the master of exciting premises and clickbait, and was finally garnering a lot of attention for it. Tyler was likely aware that Mr. Beast regularly did giveaways and fan interactions with the intent of promoting his down-to-earth image, and had been releasing videos where he awarded one lucky landmark subscriber the number equivalent in miscellaneous items. This in the past had been pennies, cookies, and popcorn, and who knows what could have been next. With this in mind, Oliveira hatched a genius plan, deciding that he would become one of Mr. Beast's landmark subscribers and use the attention to promote his own channel. But don't take my word for it, he literally says it himself.
I can be his 6 million subscribers.
Like the true hustler he was, Oliveira slept through the milestone and missed the opportunity to collect his winnings. But always making the best of a bad situation, Tyler decided to make a video regardless, and used the time that he had left to become Mr. Beast's ultimate Glaze Master General, explaining why he was oh so epic and wonderful.
Mr. Beast understands, like no one else, the
power of a viral
Mr. Beast, ever possessing the fragile ego, we all saw what happened with Jacksepticeye, obviously lapped up the positive attention, even leaving a comment complimenting Oliveira on his ability to slop him off. However, Oliveira wasn't finished, and with Mr. Beast's growth only becoming more rapid, the opportunity to join him at another milestone would come around soon enough. And it did.
This time, Mr. Beast, I decided to come prepared.
On August 4th, 2018, Mr. Beast hit 7 million subscribers, and as previously stated, needed to anoint a 7 millionth subscriber. I don't know exactly how this process is decided. I'm pretty sure you can't actually tell who specific milestone subscribers are, but who needs a formula when you have someone with irrefutable evidence that they were that lucky subscriber, right? Tyler Oliveira had been tweeting frequently at Jimmy just before he cracked 7 mil, explaining that he was paying close attention to his sub count. Shortly after Mr. Beast reached the milestone, Oliveira tagged him once again, claiming that he was 99.99% sure that he had timed his decisive click perfectly, and that he was looking forward to being a part of the next video. But that's a pretty bold claim, right? There's no way that Mr. Beast would actually fall for something like that. Oh man, God help us all.
Your generosity has no bounds, Mr. Beast. A truly kind soul and a talented content creator.
Tyler Oliveira actually uploaded before Mr. Beast, so you can see exactly how our overcommitted brown noser pulled this off. And as always, the trick was just blindly
Sneeko was right there, dog. Oh my God. That's crazy.
declaring you won and having people believe it, because there's no way that anyone actually believes this was evidence.
50.
Okay, well, hopefully I got it there.
The dude clearly subscribes after Jimmy passes 7 million. And look, this is trivial, okay? I know. There's no way it was ever accurate, but anyone who announces they look forward to being on my next video before it's confirmed would never even be allowed within a mile of my next video. I can tell you that. Tyler Oliveira is standing there screaming, "I won the lottery," holding up a ticket that has the wrong numbers on it. Like, I'm sorry, Mr. Beast. You should have given this guy 7 million restraining orders instead. You know what? Actually, I'm sorry. You, Jimmy. Look at what you unleashed.
7 million sheets of toilet paper.
I'm having the runs lately, so this should work.
So as the story goes, Jimmy flew Tyler out. He was given a toilet roll. Tyler did challenges, yada, yada, yada. I couldn't give less of a shit. But unlike other Mr. Beast milestone videos, Tyler Oliveira claimed the rights to the title on his own channel, while Jimmy went for something else entirely. Although Tyler's video didn't draw the same number of views that Mr. Beast would, he pulled enough of a viewership to actually have an audience. And unlike Tyler's previous exchange with Ryan Trahan, many audience members came across from Jimmy's channel with a positive impression of Mr. Oliveira. So now he was picking up a few more subscribers. This was exactly what Tyler Oliveira had wanted. And now, with the help of some attention brought over from larger creators, he finally had the proper platform to unleash his coveted brand of content out into the world. Jimmy, what have you done? With some of Mr. Beast's viewers invested in his content, Tyler Oliveira had exactly the kind of audience he wanted, and soon enough, he'd begin working on the content he knew they would enjoy.
And as the loyal subscriber that I am, I decided to take matters into my own hands and help Mr. Beast surpass T-Series, allowing him and PewDiePie to end the war once and for all.
Setting aside the Mr. Beast entitled videos, Oliveira's content often worked off a simple formula. He would test out a few different genres, and then when he had a hit, he'd milk it, and milk it, and milk it, and milk it until the cow had practically dried up and withered away. In that time, he'd also experiment with a few other types of content.
Mr. Beast is the Oprah of the internet. If instead of you getting a car, you get another freak. Another freakish right-wing YouTuber. Like, I'm not saying he's doing it deliberately. Make no mistake. I'm not saying that at all. But oh my God, the amount of people. It's like between him and the Young Turks, who is responsible for more, I would say more impactful right-wingers? Probably the Beast himself. I guess Oprah did give us Dr. Phil, so there is that. Yeah.
That he could transition into once the subject had overstayed its welcome. Examples of this could be his selling to GameStop videos, training like other people for X amount of days, spending 24 hours, Tesla challenges, and what I like to call the implausible challenge content, such as swimming across the entire Pacific Ocean, which he gives up pretty fast, the running for 24 hours straight, of which he spends most of his time walking, and my personal favorite, the digging a hole all the way to China video, which I'm sorry, but it's so funny to imagine 11 million people seeing this thumbnail and thinking, well, maybe.
You think that perhaps with the help of machinery we'll be able to reach China?
I think we're almost there. I can see it. I can smell it.
We'll be there tomorrow.
Tomorrow?
Maybe a week.
And look, as much as it pains me to hand it to Tyler Oliveira, in these early videos, there is some kind of entertainment value, particularly through a narrative that paces videos with a degree of poeticism, and that at least presents the guise of a personality for the man, and maybe, dare I say, a degree of respectability? It wasn't an uncommon style, but I guess you need to give him some credit for making it seem like real content.
Amidst my unexpected psychosis mid-swim, I wanted other people to experience the fear I had had endured, so I decided to simulate a shark attack on my cameraman, Josh. And of course, with my luck, I soon encountered a flock of tempestuous whales.
The truth was that YouTube was absolutely infested with this type of content by the end of the decade. Mr. Beast clones and countless other variants seeing if they could build the Taj Mahal out of toothpicks. It was all worthless, but seemingly inoffensive. However, even with content that appears to not serve a great purpose, there is such a thing as too far. And this often separates the sincere content creators from the fraudulent interlopers, the people who can read a room and tell when a video probably shouldn't be uploaded, and those who can't. You can guess which one Tyler fell into. On January 10th, 2020, Tyler Oliveira uploaded a video titled, "Can 1 million paper towels absorb a swimming pool?" Which honestly would have been better if it was clickbait. In this video, Oliveira throws countless rolls of paper towels into a pool in an attempt to soak up all the water. Unfortunately, or fortunately in my case, I've been unable to find any real footage of this video, but the backlash came thick and fast, with many people and media outlets criticizing its wastefulness. Now, plenty of YouTubers have gone too far, and it may have been a good time for him to just hold up his hands and admit that this was a bad idea. But our boy Tyler had other plans, and in a pinned comment decided he was going to use facts and logic to defend himself on the battlefield of ideas. First opening with the fact that these paper towels would have existed whether he used them or not, which is a firm defense against anyone arguing the Schrodinger's paper towel point of view. He then goes on to deliver some truth bombs, some epic truth nukes, that these paper towels would have been used to wipe up trivial spillages anyway, and that the environmental impact was also very insignificant when you consider the fact that the wood used in creating paper towels is negligible when you consider the fact that many of his critics live in a house which is often made of wood when you consider it, and that everyone uses more toilet paper in their lifetime than Tyler used in this.
Dude, one thing that is like struck me about Tyler Oliveira is that he is legitimately stupid. Like he tries to masquerade as a much more intelligent person than he actually is, but he fails spectacularly at it. Like this is a person communicating in a very specific debate lord style, but it's really bad. Like the arguments are like of a child. He said, "Oh, you're criticizing my waist for a YouTube video? Well, you live in a house." Like he compared shelter to just straight up wasting toilet paper. Like that argument, I feel like a child would probably go, "That's too childish for me. What are we, Google Gaga level? Like what's going on? Are you in 4th grade? I'm already in 6th grade. This doesn't work on me." You know what I mean?
Video, and that none of these people are actually doing anything for the sake of environment, and although the video may be bad, most people criticizing it are probably also bad, so I guess 2 wrongs make a right. It seems that in spite of the fact that Tyler Oliveira had learned the skill of articulation, his skills were still limited. While sure, it goes without saying that production costs for Tyler Oliveira's single video could never rival the pollution contributed by large manufacturers and corporations, nobody's really saying that. They're just calling you a dick, and rightfully so. All Tyler's response seemed to demonstrate was that he didn't really understand why what he did was so poorly received. After the negative response to this response, he eventually relented 6 days after the video initially went up, admitting that it was a bad and insensitive idea in hindsight, and stating that he had donated $1,000 to the Australian Red Cross, who were combating wildfires ravaging the country at the time. He announced he was also setting up a fundraiser in case anyone else wished to join him, with a total aim of $10,000. The target was ultimately not met, with a little over 10% of the goal raised, but it's better than nothing. And I'm not going to hate on another creator donating to charity, but it never really felt like Oliveira understood why what he did was wrong. It's more that he just wanted to throw some money at the situation to shut people up, which it did, so at least it was effective. Nevertheless, the timely backlash was a sign that the tides were turning on YouTube culturally, particularly with regard to the many humanitarian disasters that would soon follow. First with the COVID pandemic, and then with subsequent military conflicts that many companies used as an excuse to price gouge. That contributed towards a cost of living crisis.
1/3 of these children live in poverty. That equates to 1.3 million under fives.
They say that more than 70 people have been killed and a further 138 injured in this latest series of airstrikes.
Started before dawn. Ukraine woke to explosions around the capital, Kiev.
Suddenly, people were being told that we needed to be mindful of resources, as we weren't sure how they were going to be affected by a worldwide pandemic and everything that followed. Although Oliveira performed better than many other creators in this time, by the end of 2021, he was losing momentum, and by the end of 2022, his channel had effectively ground to a halt. Although the numbers may not look bad, by Tyler's standards, these were catastrophic, as he operated on a high-risk, high-reward model that required hefty returns on investment. For someone as performance-oriented as Tyler, it was a sign that he needed to change. Maybe he just needed a little help.
Pasha and I were too scared to come alone.
I don't believe a word of it.
Tyler's attempt to diversify was a venture into the supernatural, a subject that has long performed well on YouTube. The plan was that he would visit haunted places and see just how spooky they were. This style represented a departure from his usual shtick and an approach more reminiscent of live journalism.
Killers, rapes, serial killers.
A lot of people refer to this particular spirit up here as the creeper.
The creeper?
There isn't too much interesting to say about these videos. I don't think you're going to be leaving this video questioning your beliefs.
What was that?
Is that you?
What was that?
No.
Holy fuck. Who heard that?
I heard it.
You guys heard knocking, right?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
In fact, probably the scariest thing to happen in this video is a confrontation with the Slop King himself, Brent Rivera.
What's up, little sis? I've had it with you.
To be honest with you, Brent Rivera is more than deserving of his own video, but to do so would actually require viewing any of his content for longer than 5 seconds, content that looks like it's catered to kids or people on watch lists, so I don't know if I'm gonna do it. Either way, one of the haunted places Tyler Oliveira was scheduled to visit was the Stanley Hotel in Colorado. As luck would have it, Brent Rivera was also filming a video there at the exact same time as Tyler.
I remember this, dude. And at this point, I remember when this became like a big thing. And it's so strange that like this guy, had he made videos at this point that were like weird? He had, or hadn't he? I can't remember. I'm sure I covered it at the time on Twitch, so we can find out if he had made those videos or not. Like, I don't know when I soured on this guy, but it was pretty quick. Like, I think it was, yeah, I watched his Epstein Island video. That's right. I watched the Epstein Island video, and in that video, I was like getting some weird vibes. I think that might have been the first video of his that I watched. And at first I was like, guys, I'm not going to dive into this and be like, I'm not going to dive into it and be like, oh, this guy sucks from the jump. But I think he might like, I don't know. There was just something a little off about it. This sparked his love drama, and then drama fed him into being a sociopath.
And with such two large influencers in the same hotel on the same night, there was no way such a small space could ever contain both of their massive egos.
Do you fake your videos?
No. Do you fake your videos?
No.
Alright, okay. Have fun, guys.
Asking Brent Rivera if he fakes his videos is like asking the CIA if they've ever interfered with foreign governments. You may not receive a straight answer, but you already know.
Hey, go have fun with your 100 subscribers, guys.
We get that louder.
You don't have a directional mic on my camera? But if we were normal guests,
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Okay. Normal guest? You think you're elevated beyond an average human being? You've ascended the human... Wait, what are you... Wait, who are you?
You're harassing our tours.
No.
You need to back up right now. Dude, get moving.
Have fun, guys.
We're not harassing. I want to say hi to my favorite YouTuber, Brent Rivera. Totally doesn't fake his videos, and it's totally awesome.
Hi.
Why are you having trouble speaking?
In spite of this, Brent was still offended by the inference in Tyler's line of questioning and becomes hostile and confrontational pretty quick, with snide comments escalating in security being called, who asked Mr. Oliveira to leave the premises, with police arriving shortly after.
Can I ask you for stuff? For sure.
Can I propose a compromise?
No.
No.
The SSPD's on the way, so you haven't until they get here.
For sure. Unfortunate.
The footage shown by Tyler obviously makes Brent look like an insecure jackass, and Tyler makes the most of this idiocy by uploading the video and presenting the narrative in its entirety. This was then reported on by large YouTubers who provided their takes on the situation, mostly siding against Brent.
Brent Rivera got confronted in the real world, and I'm using that word loosely because it wasn't really confronting. He got trolled in real life, and just for some reason acted far stronger and more badass than he is. Like, bro, you make videos eating gum off of a child's shoe. Like, why are you going to try and pretend to be like this man's man when met with controversy or when met with conflict in the real world?
With the coverage the clips were receiving and the mounting pressure on him, Brent decided to take to TikTok to post his response.
If you recently saw a viral video of two YouTubers arguing in a hotel hallway, well, one of those YouTubers was me. Things quickly get taken out of context, so here's the full picture. Also, this isn't me defending the things that I said, but more so giving you guys my perspective of what happened that night.
In this video, Brent apologizes for any insensitive comments, but affirms that Tyler was attempting to provoke them by making inflammatory comments of his own, following and harassing them, not vice versa.
As the night went on, he continued to approach us with his camera, saying awful things about me, my friends, and my sister to try and get a rise out of me for his video. At a certain point, it bubbled up so much that I did what he wanted. I stooped down to his level, and I said something that I should not have said. Go have fun with your 100 subscribers. Later on, he came up and started filming again, this time while we were on a tour. His actions toward us and other guests on the tour caused the hotel staff, not me, to call security. And after several warnings, the hotel chose to call the police to get him escorted from the hotel.
This response wasn't well received at the time, especially with the footage available, which clearly showed Brent acting in a more hostile capacity in
I can't believe in a situation involving Brent Rivera, he was actually not the worst person involved. That's truly shocking.
front of Tyler and making more than just one antagonistic comment. There's little doubt that Brent downplays his role in this confrontation, but I do think people tended to overlook the fact that Tyler was clearly looking to get a rise out of him. We know by now that Tyler Oliveira does have a talent for poking the bear, and we don't know how much content he cut out of that interaction to present an image that was more favorable towards him. I could imagine being annoyed if someone kept coming up to me in a hotel, pointing a camera in my face, and asking me provocative questions, even if I did make bottom-of-the-barrel slop content. But we all know better than Brent Rivera why Tyler did that. If it's something worth talking about, people will give it attention. And although the views garnered from this coverage of the situation didn't quite galvanize his channel in the way he may have hoped, it did seem to put a light bulb in his head that he could scale up his investigative efforts from here. But first, it's a new year. That means new horizons, new opportunities, new habits. Whether those habits are good or bad is really up to you to decide, but I'm here to tell you how you can break bad habits and start 2025 off on the right foot. All thanks to a personalized debt solution from today's sponsor at PDS Debt. With an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau, PDS Debt strives to understand your specific scenario and can help provide alternative solutions to becoming debt-free. If you feel like you've been throwing endless amounts of money at your debt every single month and aren't seeing the balance go down, it might be time to contact PDS Debt. PDS Debt has customized options for anyone struggling with credit cards, personalized loans, collections, or medical bills. In fact, everyone with $10,000 or more in eligible debt qualifies, and there is no minimum credit score required. Make this the year.
Look, we're doing ethical reacts, all right? Shouts out to Jabri. I love Jabri. I love his content. He put a lot of thought and effort into us, so we're just going to keep watching the ethical debt react.
You finally take control of your finances and stop letting yourself get crushed by debt. See if PDS Debt is right for you by getting a free debt analysis right now at pdsdebt.com/Jabri in just 30 seconds.
I think this is a sign of the times becoming worse, by the way. Like, YouTubers doing ads for debt relief is crazy. We're entering a new era, an application for debt relief.
Huge thanks again to PDS Debt for sponsoring this video and helping people get back on track with their finances. On February 28th, 2023, Tyler Oliveira uploaded the video, "I Went to the Incest Capital of America." It features Oliveira going to the beautiful state of Alabama to interview some Southerners about their relationships with, well, their relatives. In the video, he does interview some people who quite brazenly admit to kissing their cousins, and even features a bit of kissing at the end. This one's to all the gooners out there, I guess. It seems Tyler took Brent's advice to heart, as we can see here that he is equipped with a more professional apparatus, including a directional microphone and a simpler goal of just interviewing as many kooky characters as possible.
I interview you for $5. Have you kissed a cousin?
Yeah.
Yeah? Is she hot?
Yeah.
Hot as hell?
Oh, yeah.
Did you smash?
Yeah.
Okay.
I ain't gonna lie to you.
As entertaining as this video might be, Oliveira's commitment to journalistic integrity seems a little questionable. The video itself is paralleled with an overarching narrative of him trying to find the Smurf family, something that was mentioned to him in an interview early on. However, a quick fact check would have told him that the Smurf family, or the Fugates as they're more formally known, were a family from Kentucky, which, if my memory serves, is not Alabama. He was searching in completely the wrong state. When talking about them, he also shows a picture of Paul Carrison, whose skin turned blue after trying an alternative medicine and is of no relation to the Fugates whatsoever. But at this early stage, maybe you could defend him given it was his first venture into this style of content.
So I drove to Blue Mountain and I wondered to myself, is this where the legendary Smurf family lives?
In spite of these inaccuracies, people were still entertained, and it quickly became Oliveira's best performing video in a while. And any longtime follower of Oliveira could tell you that meant there was more to come.
Oh, we're filming a documentary about obesity in America, and we're showcasing the tacos here as a prime facilitator of obesity and in turn premature death. We'll be quick.
Over the next few months, Oliveira uploaded videos that featured him going to various deprived and sometimes dangerous locations and carrying out interviews with the apparent mission of presenting some insight from ground zero. Many of these videos were very well received, and commenters heaped praise on Tyler for presenting harrowing stories from the front line and raising awareness for issues that had long been overlooked. And hell, I wouldn't disagree that some of this content can actually be pretty illuminating into overlooked communities.
You guys used to live here?
So I didn't live here. My family grew up here a lot, but I work for Quapaw Nation.
Okay.
And they're basically the ones that are handling all the cleanup.
Apparently, the original Native Americans that had this land taken from them got it back and is now responsible for cleaning up this mess. So I got in the car and wanted to see the cleanup in action.
Could it be possible that a creator like Tyler had grown from the clout-chasing, milk-bathing, can I date your daughter demon that he once was, and was now making important, productive content? Well, you know the answer to that, and it's not Yes.
When did you start disliking black people, if at all?
I just like being around them. I think they're fine around themselves, but why in America, formerly a white country, current political paradigm says there can be no all-white countries, no majority white countries. Why does that have to be enforced?
At first, this content largely flew under the radar, though there were the occasional red flags. For example, there's one video where the dude goes down to what is clearly a Confederate memorabilia shop, calling it an antique store, which is a little redundant.
Saying America's formerly a white country is so funny. Like when, dude? When was America a formerly white country? Bro, you can't you can't want to bring back slavery while simultaneously getting mad about the fact that it existed. You know what I mean? Before Americans arrived, it wasn't a white country at all. And then the white people arrived and they brought black people with them as slaves, you know? So there's no point where America was like a white country at all.
Productive then gifts one of the items he buys there to a notoriously racist man who has appeared in other videos, with YouTuber Vince Vintage doing some digging of his own into this particular store and finding a barrage of other heinous items they had on display, uncovering how the local population has tried to get it shut down for years. The store, Wildman Civil War Surplus, is described in one 2015 article as containing shrines to the Klan, to white power, but Tyler seems to leave out that context, instead giving viewers the impression that this was just a normal southern antique store, apparently worthy of his hard-earned money. According to him, it's basically the same as going to a Civil War museum.
This is a Civil War antique store that sells all sorts of artifacts and memorabilia from the Civil War time period. It's literally an antique store with a Civil War theming in the deep south of Georgia. I bought rocks, a piece of paper, and a plate with guns on it. It's almost like saying if you pay admission to go to a Civil War museum, you're somehow supporting slavery.
You know, this...
Wait, what? No, it's not like that at all. No, you didn't go to a civil... It's like going to a Klan rally and being like, excuse me, this rally also features anti-racists. Oh, I'm sorry. I went to a BLM rally before and nobody got mad. And then I went to a Klan rally and everyone got mad. It's just a racialized rally. It's a racial gathering. What is happening?
Civil War museum filled with swastikas, a famous symbol of the Civil War. One glance at the reviews will tell you it's not so much the historical institute its owners may want you to think it is. It's caused so much controversy over the years that it's pushed neighboring businesses to relocate and prompted city council members to resign in protest of its license being reinstated. As I've often found to be the case with Tyler, sometimes the narrative lies in what he doesn't let on. People weren't given any of this context about the store, so they didn't think anything of it. They didn't care, just as they didn't seem to notice he was ripping off better creators like Nico Omalana, but soon that would begin to change.
How easy would it be for us to get like fentanyl right now?
Yeah, but keep walking by.
Next person?
Yeah.
How long have you been out here, sir?
I've been here about 4 years.
On November 2nd, 2023,
like think about the way I covered Skid Row when I went down there and what I did down there. And then think about what Tyler Oliveira's slop is. Like part of my goals this year is to be like the reverse of what he's doing, basically. Of course, his style of content is endlessly more popular, especially on YouTube, because it's so slop focused, where he's not above faking stuff as well. Like he just fakes shit all the time. But my goal is to humanize these people, not put a microphone in their face and just like exploit them and make fun of them and undermine them, you know?
A few months after switching to investigative content, Tyler Oliveira uploaded the video I Investigated the Country Where Every Drug is Legal, in which he takes his equipment to Vancouver in British Columbia. Not a country, but that's clickbait for you. In January of 2023, the Canadian province decriminalized the possession of up to 2.5 grams of hard drugs for public use. It was a move that generated controversy and criticism from those who thought this would only worsen the situation.
Proper harm reduction has been shown in European places, you know, Switzerland.
The whole argument is that they have institutions to rehabilitate these users and not just facilitate the drug use, right?
That's one thing we've told in this regard.
This seems to be a point of concern from Oliveira at points in the video, even having a conversation about its supposed shortcomings in comparison to European countries like Portugal, which I'm not saying is an unimportant conversation to have, but ultimately any movement toward productive discussion is derailed immediately by Tyler's own addiction for large-scale events and sensationalist media.
We're just wondering if we can hear your opinion on what's going on out here in Vancouver.
This very second is not a great time.
Okay, got it. Should we get out of here?
No, it's just I've got somebody who's just OD'd outside.
For this video, Tyler brings along independent journalist and self-proclaimed Portland homelessness czar Kevin Dahlgren, who had already appeared in past videos featuring people living rough.
Oh, that's the other thing. I work with actual organizers an actual activist and not people whose sole purpose is to undermine these people.
Dahlgren was already an interesting choice, given he had resigned from his position earlier on in the year following rumblings of financial misconduct, with Oliveira's release of this video actually coinciding with Dahlgren's arrest for multiple counts of fraud and theft. Though this case has yet to be resolved, it makes his inclusion seem more politically motivated, given that he's been vocally critical of, quote, progressive administrations, which is a narrative that becomes apparent in this video very quickly.
Little did I know, Kevin snuck into one last night, and here's how it looked.
At one point, it's claimed Dahlgren had snuck into an injection center and filmed people on trips. It's meant to be an expose of the failings of the center to attend to its patients, but feels very intrusive and uncomfortable to me. It's very telling that Oliveira censored the drugs, but not the actual people's faces. This wasn't the first video that Tyler had done investigating drug abuse in major cities. Earlier on in the year, he had covered the decriminalization in Portland, Oregon, with Kevin to broadly positive reception. It seems more respectful and involves more censoring and thoughtful discussion, yet after his video investigating Vancouver went live, footage was disputed by local advocates who claimed that this was actually filmed at a homeless shelter, leaving question marks over why Tyler would ever involve someone with such questionable credibility and why Tyler would actively worsen his content when he clearly knew better. Practically, the remaining runtime of Oliveira's Vancouver video is just filled with drama and chaos. Multiple people are filmed either overdosing or just completely out of it without any real content.
Let me guess, it did much better numbers-wise.
Text other than, wow, this is bad. This is really bad, right guys? There's just some strange assumptions that show Tyler's lack of understanding on drug-related issues. Tyler points at multiple people hunched over and suggests that they've been nodding out too much. And although it may be the case for some, there are plenty of other conditions that could also cause hunchback. And leaving people uncensored with the implication that each of them is a drug addict is kind of insane.
Now, what was the objective in decriminalizing those drugs?
The point is, what are they going to do? You know, what is a homeless person going to do? They're never going to see the video, and they have no means of legal recourse. That's what I hate the most about this process, is like you're taking advantage of and further dehumanizing people that quite literally have been destroyed by the systems. And you know they're weak. You know they have no means of fighting back. And you are absolutely, you're dehumanizing them for clicks. It is one of the grossest, most predatory things you could do. Quite literally preying on the vulnerable, dude. Tyler Oliveira goes to an orphanage, dunks on the children.
That their idea was that this would reduce stigma. They cite other countries in the world that have had some success with decriminalization. They talk about Portugal, Uruguay, Germany, but there's a huge difference between...
By the way, the Tyler Oliveira method, Tyler Hitler-Vera method, go with a quote-unquote local activist that's like a right-wing charlatan, okay? A disgraced person who... on paper deals with these issues, but deals with it from a right-wing perspective, and then talk to a right-wing politician to further solidify the narrative that it's like, yeah, homeless people actually are bad across the board. And yes, financialize the misery in the process. It's really, really bad.
Between what they're doing and what's being done here. Fortunately, the government is only telling half the story, and they've only put half the work in.
The only attempt at any further depth is an interview at the end with Vancouver-based politician Eleanor Sturko, who again makes some points regarding the implementation of the program. Yet after the video, she also denounced Oliveira, said that she never consented to being recorded, and that her comments were taken out of context.
Oh my God. No way. Nah, I bet she was doing ass covering.
Sturko has also received criticism for her handling of this matter, and as a professional politician, she should probably know that some people will tape her statements whether on or off the record. However, the fact that Oliveira didn't ask for her consent is also telling, that maybe if she knew what the video was saying or what it was about, she wouldn't be happy participating in it. This didn't stop Oliveira from responding, calling her spineless, which I assume is Tyler's way of continuing the conversation. Not too soon after another person who was featured in the video spoke out about it, a man who was filmed overdosing on the street claimed there were some ethical boundaries Oliveira should have at least considered.
It's terrible to think that someone in distress who was having a difficult time was being filmed and put on the internet for likes and clicks. And it's disgusting that people think they can come down here and...
Like, think about the impact that we had. We interviewed incarcerated firefighters. How did I do this? I did this by, one, going to a local community organizer, Scott Budnick, and working with his organization, ARC, Anti-Recidivism Coalition, okay? We got unlimited access in the process. We got prior consent and prior authorization from literally the governor's office and the officers there. Okay, And in the process, we highlighted the plight that incarcerated firefighters go through. We talked about their conditions. We talked about some of the benefits of the program, some of the positives of the program, a broader point about America's carceral state. And simultaneously, in the aftermath, we've fundraised thousands of dollars. Not sure what the exact number is. Okay. But also, we ended up sending too many video games. One of the things that one of the prisoners asked for was video games to be sent. I talked to a lieutenant who's a CO tasked with the program right then and there during the process. It was filmed live, so there's no like editing trickery going on either. And then we sent so many video games to one of the facilities that was mentioned that they literally were like, we have too many video games. Like think about the impact of this community and think about the direction of the content, think about the purpose of the content versus what Tyler Oliveira does. Yeah, same with Skid Row. With Skid Row, worked with a local organizer, got prior consent, prior authorization, went and got much needed items, purchased them, offered them, didn't show anyone's face if we didn't ask for express consent ahead of time. And in the process, raised $20,000 for Water Drop LA, a fantastic organization. It's crazy how you can look at the same problem, right? The same problem. Because like I went to Skid Row. I'm sure he's gone to Skid Row, or at least he went to Vancouver's very own version of Skid Row. It's the same exact issue. Look at his coverage over it. Look at the popularity that kind of coverage gets, by the way, as well. And look at the framing of this issue versus the ethical way to do this. It's very, very frustrating. And I hope people can understand it's not the same when you know, there's a difference between sticking a camera in the face of like someone very clearly overdosing and then being like, oh yeah, this guy's overdosing. Yeah, concerned trolls when Hitler Vera, I sleep. Concerned trolls with LSF and Hasan. Yeah, exactly.
Film people when they're having a difficult time in the downtown east side.
They have family members. They have needs. They're people. They're not just throwaways of society.
They obviously taught me at my worst, and yeah, I wouldn't want that to happen to other people. There should be some type of, I know it's illegal to film people out in public, but at the same time, there's got to be some ethical boundaries.
Oliveira responded to this with his textbook empathy. Wait, this guy who is overdosing on meth on a public sidewalk works in or at the Overdose Prevention Society? Yeah, wow, sicko and Tyler. This guy with a drug addiction problem is volunteering to help other people with drug addictions? Wow, yeah, talk about a conflict of interest. High fives all around for Tyler and his bros. Tyler Oliveira's video is the perfect representation of
Tyler's like, not me. I would never do that. I would never volunteer at an overdose prevention society. I would never do that. I would instead come in and find you at your weakest moment and put a camera in your face.
Observing society's problems, but not actually suggesting we do anything about it. The title of the video implies that Tyler is criticizing decriminalization, but even his video seems to acknowledge that British Columbia already had a problem, and other countries have successfully implemented similar programs with the right infrastructure. Yet, rather than actually exploring why it may be falling short here, Tyler just gawks at people with serious problems and profits from filming their struggle, because he has nothing of actual substance to say, and relies on other people to make those points for him. I think the video and his subsequent responses paint a pretty clear picture that when the narrative serves it, Tyler is all about helping people, but as soon as someone provides even the mildest critique of his content, he goes right back to being that same old petty, egotistical.
Could you please maybe not film people overdosing without consent, please? Wait, this guy who was overdosing on meth on a public sidewalk in and at the Overdose Prevention Society? I am very smart.
Tyler Oliveira that we've always seen. It shows that this transition isn't really growth, it's just a move of convenience, and that when it's no longer convenient to him, he'll throw all these people that he claims to care about under the bus for his own personal gain. In spite of the criticism that Oliveira faced for this video from people within these communities, the upload became one of his best performing on YouTube, netting nearly 20 million views. It sent Tyler a clear message that people wanted more drama, more politically charged narratives, and most importantly, more chaos. So what was Tyler
right-wing chaos too
gonna do? Respond to those who said he was sensationalizing homelessness and start treating journalism with the respectability it deserves? Don't be silly. Tyler was much more interested in turning public anger back at the people who question.
Why is this content allowed on YouTube at all? What are you talking about? YouTube is infested with this. Tyler Oliveira, at this stage in his career, not where it is now, but at this stage in his career, was far from the most right-wing content creator. You understand?
his methods.
It was like yesterday, man, where you had protesters, you know, literally up against the faces of police officers as they formed a human wall trying to protect East Precinct. But we all know the story.
This guy's another right-wing grifter that he linked up with. It's always a guy like that. It's always like the Andy Ngo's of the world. You know what I mean? I'm only using Andy Ngo as a substitute here because he's a very notable figure in Portland for basically doing this for years and years and years and becoming like a famous right-wing grifter.
City leaders allowed the activists to take over this entire city block, and it was just chaos.
On Christmas Day 2023, Tyler dropped a video titled "I investigated the city that banned police," referring to Seattle's short-lived Capitol Hill occupied protest CHOP, or Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone CHAZ, which prohibited law enforcement officers from entering the area. Tyler appears here with another independent journalist, Jonathan Cho, who was fired from his job for his coverage of a Proud Boys rally, which many considered was a little too generous to a fascist organization.
I got fired because I covered a Proud Boys rally, and I was accused of promoting this group.
I can't believe it. I can't believe the soy libtard cucks fired this man for doing exactly what they claimed he was doing. How dare they?
Accused of promoting. When that wasn't the case. And afterwards, people just started harassing me and doxing me.
In case anyone thinks this was a one-off, on his Twitter, Cho now regularly uses the term Trump derangement syndrome, unironically quote tweets "end wokeness" and flagrantly—
Wait, who was it? Wait.
Regularly uses the term Trump derangement syndrome, unironically quote tweets "end..."
Dude's getting fact-checked. End wokeness schooling Mehdi Hasan.
"End wokeness" and flagrantly promotes allegations.
The elections are rigged in Arizona. Does anyone care to do something about this? How is this being allowed?
Allegations of election fraud. So you know you're in for a real thick slice of—
Oh my God. Oh, I hate the right-wing network. I hate the right-wing media ecosystem so much. They will literally elevate the grossest losers to the top of the pile. All you need to do is it's so easy to grift. All you need to do is just say, like, gay people are responsible for wildfires. Undocumented migrants are the reason why inflation happened. And the next week, you will be on Jesse Waters to repeat that talking point over and over again. They will give you endless money to do this.
Unbiased journalism with him.
They don't like my style.
Cho is such a fraud. He literally just comes to protest now to harass people and try to get them to attack him. He's literally the most annoying ever. When I was reporting at a protest recently, he started screaming at random pro-Palestine protesters on the UW campus. Oh.
They don't like the fact that I'm exposing them, and they feel as though they are vigilante security guards and that they're protecting this BLM garden and this homeless encampment. How is this being allowed in a public park in a world-class city like Seattle? This is a takeover, Tyler.
The implication of this video is that there is some relationship between the 3-week period when Seattle banned police on Capitol Hill and the rise in criminal activity, despite the fact that they present no evidence that this was the case, and trends of crime in Seattle will show you that this has been a growing problem long before the developments in 2021.
Isn't this literally how Steven Crowder got started? Yes, the answer is yes. All of the worst villains in contemporary American society basically came out from this starting point.
They're done. They don't want to work anymore. They don't want to pay taxes. They don't want to pay their bills. You've got the activists saying, oh, if you just give everyone here housing, we can solve the crisis. Well, the problem is you've clearly encountered there are people who want to stay out here. What do you do about them?
After it is safe.
There's urine, there's human feces, there's drug dealing going on. Is that safer than this shelter that's allegedly unsanitary? Look,
Why do you think they're choosing to be out here?
because they don't want to follow the rules.
Okay.
Do you deserve an apartment in Seattle when there's so many others who are working 2-3 jobs?
Throughout the video, there's also this advocacy against giving homeless people housing. This narrative that people who expect it rather than going to shelters are entitled. The only places Cho seems to promote are Christian-run organizations, which feels—
Yeah, by the way, that's my favorite. It's just like the homeless people love being homeless. It's their favorite thing. You know who's the most privileged, entitled people? Not the YouTuber exploiting homeless people, but like the homeless people themselves. Those are the real. They're exploiting the earth, dude. It's really messed up.
a little bit loaded in itself. There are also strays of people advocating for the homeless, most notably Mark Horvath, head of the nonprofit Invisible People, who criticized Oliveira just 20 days before, in case it was unclear how petty our man is prepared to be.
Directly in front
of
a criminal network, a criminal camp.
Talk to me.
For my safety.
Okay.
You're in front of the camel tent that's in drug.
At one point, Cho and Oliveira are met by a woman who claims that a drug tent is a criminal syndicate's headquarters, and they take her completely seriously, despite the fact that she reveals herself to have no knowledge of it whatsoever, and just wanted an opportunity to complain about the homeless situation again.
There's unmitigated shoplifting. The laws have to be changed because they're actually, the police hands are tied. We're spending vast amounts on Narcan. The firemen are coming out all the time. Overdoses. I'm sorry, if you're not a teenager, you don't get Narcan. You don't get a sedation. I am not some crazy conservative, but things cannot end unless there are laws.
Where'd you get us? Yeah, what?
Because if I was gonna have some idiotic progressive thing like, oh, these poor homeless, poor people, you know, they're the poor entitled.
This video is particularly funny because Tyler offers so little substance that it just devolves into Cho's personal vendetta at the liberals for having him fired from a job where he tagged his news corporation and said that the Proud Boys would be around to answer questions on their cause and mission. Yeah, I wonder what that mission could be.
I'm asking if you're doing fentanyl in there because bathrooms are being used for drug use.
That's everywhere in the United States.
Is that a yes or no?
No.
Would you like to share your thoughts on what's going on here?
I just did. It happens everywhere.
But to Oliveira, Cho's just a useful idiot, someone to stir up controversy and draw conflict for the sake of content, and a tool to make the opposition look reasonable. At some point, Cho disappears, and the video actually starts to become interesting when he talks to people who were involved with the protest, but by then it's too late to really leave any other impression. A narrative around homelessness that boils down to just finger pointing at anyone or anything progressive, and commonly those who are hostile to Oliveira's own methods, which at that point, can you blame them?
I got put in jail for jaywalking, but I did a year.
Did you do anything else? Well, that seems pretty atypical, right?
Right.
For point of proof, shall I jaywalk? A few cops are there. I'm just curious. Okay, we're trying to prove a point.
From bringing on controversial figures to serve as his expert consultants, to filming multiple people struggling without their consent, to making broad, unsubstantiated assumptions without even basic research, it's clear that Tyler sees his job as one to stir the pot and create the conflict that he can reap interaction from. To his many critics, the verdict was clear. The dude still sucked, he just found new ways to hide it. But why would he change if he was only going to be rewarded? Oliveira was using his content to wage an ideological war with his critics and those who worked in these places. But how long would it be before he bit off more than he could chew? Over the next few months, Tyler continued to move into more politically charged territory, even covering the US-Mexico border crisis with the usual Tyler finesse.
Oh, we got WAP?
Cardi B's got some other meaning for that.
Cardi B means by that?
Oh, yeah, you know, here we go. Dementia and quid pro Joe and crackhead hunter. I gotta go.
However, in March, Tyler decided it was time to return to his roots. In the video, I investigated the poorest region of America. Tyler goes to West Virginia, walks around poor towns, and interviews people. Throughout much of this video, Tyler isn't accompanied by a local or right-wing journalist, so the narrative kinda just goes from one interviewee to the other than the mandatory Trump supporter interview, of course. Of all the videos, it'd be hard to see how this one would draw any controversy, but then Tyler goes to visit a family known as the Whitakers.
I'm sorry, who's this?
His name's Ray.
Ray? I remember Ray. I photographed you, Ray. Do you remember? Years ago. And your name is?
Lorraine.
Lorraine? And Timmy.
The Whitakers are a family commonly dubbed America's most inbred family. I don't really know how you measure the degrees of inbreeding in a family, but they pivoted to the center of public interest through the coverage of Mark Leda, a photographer who creates videos covering the poorest in society. On his channel, Soft White Underbelly, Leda regularly takes the Whitakers on various trips and holds interviews where they're free to express themselves. In 2022, Leda started up a GoFundMe to raise money for a new house, as the Whitakers weren't exactly living in luxury. So you might be wondering, what does all of this have to do with Tyler?
A couple years ago, I saw...
Wait, this dude worked with Tyler Oliveira?
This video on YouTube titled Inbred Family, The Whitakers, where this guy, Mark Laida, records his interaction with a family suffering a long history of inbreeding.
Well, Tyler reached out to the Soft White Underbelly team and asked if they could help put him in contact with the Whitakers. A representative responded and said no, citing that they have an exclusive contract for all content creation and that they're in the process of filming a TV show.
Wait, what? Wait, I'm sorry, what? I just got whiplash. Like, at first I was like, oh, nice. He's like a nice guy. He's protecting this family. And then he's like, no, actually, f you, I'm making money off of them. What is going on here? No, this family that like legally cannot. I don't even think a member of that family legally could enforce a binding contract, like could sign off on a legally enforced binding contract. Is there a single person in the family member that's like, that has, you know, their mental faculties in order. I don't know what the proper term here is. They're still people, bro. No, I understand that. But my point is, they don't have mental capacity to sign a legal document. Most likely. Ableist? Wait, what? No, that's not what I'm saying, dude. Like, how do you not understand? Kind of ableist, bro. Not gonna lie. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. This is why it's so much easier to grift to the right, dude. Why would anyone grift to the left? It's the stupidest thing to ever even encounter. It's like, have you ever met a leftist person? Have you ever met a leftist person? You must have never met a singular leftist person if you think like there is such a concept of grifting to the left, okay? Every damn day of the week, I find myself directly at odds with people closest to me ideologically. Every damn day of the week. Okay? I despise them.
Tyler takes this response and decides that he's going to film anyway, so the email was just a formality. He also attacks Leda for seemingly hypocritical responses, which, I mean, they kinda are.
Intrigued, I reached out to Mark Laida to see if he could introduce me to them, and he responded with this. Hi Tyler, Soft White Underbelly has an exclusive contract with the Whitaker family for all content creation. We are also currently in talks about a television series with a broadcast network. Thank you so much for thinking of us. Noel, Soft White Underbelly. 9 days later, he uploaded this to his YouTube channel.
This is not I'm not trying to create a TV show where we're doing follow-ups on people, because I could easily do that. I try to resist doing that, you know, because you know, people, like, I see the comments sometimes, oh, you're just exploiting these people.
Now, assuming this contract even exists, it immediately raises a red flag when you consider that Mark has made 13 videos with the Whitakers with a combined total of 89.13 million views.
Oliveira then goes on to observe the fact that Leda has multiple GoFundMes set up.
That's so funny that Tyler Oliveira is like uncovering this guy grifting simultaneously and then goes, I'm gonna grift as well.
And a PayPal and Cash App for donations, which seems awfully impractical and confusing given the multiple subjects of these videos. From his point of view, Leda should have more than enough money to buy these people a fairly affordable house, which would be an upgrade from their previous living situation. Before we go any further, I just want to say that Oliveira, for the first time in his life, might actually have come up with an original point that's worthy of discussing. An exclusive contract is absolutely ridiculous to have on any basis, let alone with an impoverished, mentally challenged family. You shouldn't be—
Yeah, I don't even know if they have enough mental competency to sign on to a legal contract like this. But it's funny that Tyler Oliveira, in the interest of like exploiting the mentally exploiting people with these issues, ended up uncovering another person doing the same and then still turned around and exploited them regardless. But that's crazy.
Setting up GoFundMes for any of your channels. If you feel that indebted to these people, just pay them. And it definitely is weird that you claim not to be trying to make a TV series a week after saying you were working on a TV series. However, observing a problem was probably what Tyler was always best at. Can he actually draw a productive conclusion?
The minimum of $77K raised directly for the house, in addition to however much was sent to Mark directly via Cash App and PayPal, and however much money generated from, let's say, just the first video he made with the Whitakers, an extremely conservative estimate of $82,000, assuming a $2 RPM. We have a minimum of $159,000 in the home fund here. And there just so happens to be a house for sale right now in Odd, West Virginia, where they live, currently listed for $139,000. So why don't they have a new house?
Rather than talk about the potential exploitation within this sort of content, which would obviously bring into contention many of his own videos, Tyler instead chooses to focus on the implication that Leda is defrauding the Whitakers, using one of the family members, Betty's, words against him.
What else? How's the house coming along?
What house? I don't know what house. We didn't have to Mark about the house.
What did Mark say about the house? Paige wants to get an update.
I don't know.
Okay. Do you think he's...
Mark told we ain't got no more money in there. I don't know.
Okay.
Well, no, it's your love.
Oh my god, Tyler Oliveira accidentally stumbled across real investigative reporting on an exploitative YouTube channel. Oh my god. Oh my god. What? Oh my god. In the process of being a dickhead, he accidentally did good journalism. That is so crazy.
From my understanding, there's like, I don't know, $50,000 or $60,000 in there? Has Mark given you guys an update?
No.
Okay. When's the last time you guys talked to Mark?
I talked to Mark the other day.
Even though he doesn't outwardly state that Leda is keeping the money, it's about as close as you can come to actually accusing it without being legally liable. It's a little thing we like to call plausible deniability, which Tyler is all about. It's not really a sensible argument either, because if the money hadn't been raised yet, why would Leda be sending it over?
I feel good. They were super sweet. They were groceried up. It is cold. They were in the middle of nowhere. And Mark, where is the house? I started a GoFundMe linked in this video's description and donated $10,000 of my own money. If you feel moved by these innocent souls and want to help them live their elderly years in peace, feel free to donate below. And Mark, if you have any honor, let's combine whatever my viewers and I raise, your 2 GoFundMes, and let's get the Whitakers a new house for real.
Tyler then decides that the solution to all of this is to set up his own competing GoFundMe for the Whitakers, which is almost hilarious in its absurdity. Oliveira couldn't even think of an original solution, and although he had evidence to imply that maybe Mark Leda had some questions to answer, the undertones of financial misuse were a step further, which were only really substantiated by one person's testimony. If that testimony wasn't accurate, Oliveira might end up looking kind of bad.
Hey everybody, this is Mark. I thought I'd address something that a lot of people are have questions about. This GoFundMe that I've had for years, since I've been interviewing the family, has generated a lot of money for the family. It was always designed to help them with their living expenses, and then like end of last year we changed it to.
Are they doing, instead of going band for band, they're going grift for grift? Is that what's going on right now?
We started a new GoFundMe, and I tried to start a new one so it would look like this is how much.
Thanks for this how-to video. I'm off to just start my own YouTube channel. Stop it. Don't do it. Okay? Please don't do it. Please. It's already a saturated market. I promise you will not be successful if you go right wing. Please. Please grift to the left. Look at how successful I am. Please. I'm a grifter. I hate the left. I'm a capitalist and I love exploitation. And look at how successful I am. You can be successful too. Please start grifting to the left. Please. Please. Don't grift to the right. It is an endlessly fortuitous enterprise. I promise. I promise you, they will love you. Please, just make left-wing content. It'll be so successful financially for you. Oh no! Just interviewed a homeless person. They said they wanted to be homeless, and we should actually eliminate homeless people. Not political, by the way. Just doing independent journalism. This is real. But grifting to the right gets you free guns? No, dude. No. No, I promise. Okay, now you're finally spreading real misinformation. Please grift to the left. If you just grift to the left, guys. Come on. What can you lose? Bro, if I grifted, I'd be so rich. Middle Eastern, Muslim, Kurdish, perfect for the grift sphere. Yeah. I mean, if you're Muslim, like the only thing you need to do is just cut like anti-Muslim content. Just say the most Why am I giving you the tools? Okay, I'm going to stop saying these things now because there's already enough of these guys out there.
Money we're gonna get for the house.
The day after, Mark Leda uploaded a video titled Whitaker's GoFundMe, the problem with social media. In the 17-minute
I thought Software Underbelly was like, all right, you know? What is this? This is a collection of short clips of people who I've interviewed who have passed away since Software Underbelly started in April 2019. It's difficult to keep track of the 8,000 people, so I'm certain there are some that I've missed. The causes of death include fentanyl overdoses, automobile accidents, being chopped up and put in garbage bags, being shot and thrown into a dumpster, and suicide. RIP to all. You literally said White Soft Underbelly was your favorite YouTube channel. I didn't say it's my favorite YouTube channel, but I said it was a good YouTube channel because I thought it was a good YouTube channel that like worked. I didn't know all this. What the hell? I've watched like 10 videos 5-6 years ago. Or not 5 years ago, 6 years ago, like 4 years ago. Because it makes fun of dumb whites. What? Dumb whites? Do you think Soft White Underbelly only features white people? Some of his interviews of victims of incest are a bit gross. Sometimes he discusses it as if it's consensual. Always gives me the ick. Oh my god. More collabs incoming? Oh, with Todek? Nah, he's not gonna live with me, dude. I wish he would. SWU is not even as bad as it looks. Finish the video and it'll probably
Leda explains that although the GoFundMe was set up with the intent to help buy the Whitakers a house, he would constantly be contacted by the family asking for financial support from the GoFundMe, of which he feels he has to oblige. He provides receipts showing many of these transfers and stating that he has also been paying them out of his own pocket.
But the problem has been that Betty and Larry will call me every 2 weeks, every 3 weeks and say, hey, we need money for a car. Larry wrecked his car. We need a new car. We need food. We need this. We need that. It's always an emergency and they need money. And it is their money. But this money is, you know, all these donations are for the Whitakers. And when they tell me they need money, what am I going to say? No, you can't have it. We're saving it for a house. So I give them the money. These are all going from my account to Betty Whitaker's account at the, I think, Chase Bank.
Dude, I thought that, bro, I'm not going to lie. I thought that these guys, Soft White Underbelly was like, doing a decent job humanizing some people that like literally never get heard. You know what I mean? Literally never get a voice and talking to them like they're human beings.
Bank, I think it is in Beckley, West Virginia. because I've gotten these weekly, not weekly, but every few week calls from Betty or Larry asking for money, the money that's in these accounts gets depleted. It's always happened with them, where it looks, you look at the GoFundMe, it's generating money. All of a sudden there's 55,000. Oh, we're getting closer. No, you're not, because they took out 5 and they took out 6 and they took out 8 and then they took out 14 and they took out 3, and it keeps it low. It's 0 right now. It's been 0 for a few months. Larry and Betty have called me and asked me for money. I've given it to them out of my own personal bank account, not out of their GoFundMe donations, because I like helping the family. But without the ability to stop spending and start saving, we're never going to get close to that house.
Leda also seems to imply that the exclusive contract was more of an excuse to try and protect the privacy of the Whitakers from everyone who may try to contact them.
He didn't ask me. He never called me. He did call me once to ask if you could give them my contact info, but I don't want to give out the contact info of everybody I interview. You know, how many requests for the Whitaker contact info did we get back then?
So many. It would have ruined their life if all the people got their
yeah.
address
So we have to figure out a way to keep everybody from just going to the house and it becoming like a problem for them. Yeah. So I made up excuses why I'm not going to give out the contact information.
The narrative of Leda's response tends to harp on the fact that Oliveira is looking for drama, which is supported by the information that Oliveira did not ask him about the GoFundMe, despite already having contact with him and his team.
This is what these people do. He's just one of many that create these scandalous stories and say, ooh, he could have easily contacted me. He says, hey, Mark, my name's Tyler. I'm doing a video on the Whitakers or on the GoFundMe. Tell me what's going on.
I just don't understand why he didn't just say, like, yeah, we're not giving out random people's contact information. That's crazy. Like, I don't know you. I don't know what you're about. A cursory glance at your content makes me feel uncomfortable about the prospect of you, exploiting this family for your own personal gain. Once again, Tyler's still coming out as the bad guy, even though I now have a different opinion of the soft white underbelly as a consequence of this as well. Even though I don't know, maybe he'll fix this by the end of this segment, but despite Jaubrey's opinion on the matter, I still think it's a little off. There's some a little off about it.
With that, I would have said, yeah. I give them money. That would have killed his whole story. Because what he wanted was to make me look like I'm not giving them the money. They've gotten every single cent of any money that was ever donated. I have to pay the taxes, and everything else goes to them.
Yet, in spite of this, Leda states that he is intending to discontinue the GoFundMes, and he probably won't do any more videos with the Whitakers in the future.
But between her and Larry, there's a lot of money flowing out of that GoFundMe, and it's down to 0 now. So I'm actually gonna discontinue my GoFundMes for the Whitakers. I probably won't even do videos with them anymore. It's just it's left such a bad taste in my mouth after all this.
I don't think that you should set up a GoFundMe that provides the impression that people are donating money for a house with a specified target when it's actually going towards a bottomless pit of miscellaneous expenses, as that may have an effect on whether or not people donate their own personal income. Throwing money in chunks at people probably isn't going to help them if they don't have proper financial management, and it's hard for me to say that Leda didn't consider that, especially as someone who has specialized in documenting the lives of the impoverished. I can't say I really came away with a good impression of Mark from
Okay, respect. Jaubrey also smelled it. Okay. I trust his nose as well. All right, good. There's a bunch of stuff here that's a little off, Chad.
This video, just out of virtue of how he talks about himself and his mission.
Look at the Whitakers' lives. Their lives are so much better since I came into it. Their lives have improved greatly since I came into it. And the reason for that is because I'm kind and generous and I'm helpful.
Would it be better to have been patriarchally tell them that they can't have their money? No, it'd be better if he actually fundraised to buy a house like he said he was going to, and then just gave them at least permanent shelter, which would have immediately improved their material conditions. And then the rest of it is like there's an ethical way to do this. The most ethical way to do it is most likely to link them up with any organization that directly works in the region. And I'm sure there are. I mean, West Virginia is in a dire situation overall, but I'm sure that he could have engaged with a local organization that already works in housing people like this, or improving people's and giving them the proper medical care and attention that they need. And then not setting up a trust fund, chat, just addressing the immediate and most significant needs that people have is the name of the game. Okay? Constantly giving them money over a GoFundMe that's built to buy them a house is definitely not the appropriate method. Yeah, if a charitable organization did this, it would be considered fraud. You cannot mislead donors on a basis of how donated funds are to be used. You're 100% correct on this, by the way. Working with a mutual aid organization on the ground would be infinitely better and more sustainable in terms of like improving their lives, especially because you can't always be there. It's unreliable. You can't get the people used to just like a steady flow of funds coming from you directly. And then also on top of that, you're constantly filming content with them. And then there's that expectation. And I still haven't figured out if there's anyone in the family, I guess the mom maybe, that is like, that has enough mental competence to figure out what's happening as well. So there's so much, there's so much. I mean, these people are very desperate, it seems. And I don't know.
And when they needed help, I came through for them every single time. The fact that Betty comes on stood in front of him, his cameras, and said, when he asked what happened with the money, she goes, I don't know. Come on, Betty knows exactly where that money went.
Nevertheless, it was clear that Leto was not keeping the money for himself and wasn't defrauding the Whitakers. His perception of the GoFundMes wasn't unreasonable. He explains his rationale pretty well and states he does pay his interviewees regardless. Oliveira was an idiot for even implying that he might be taking GoFundMe money for his own purposes, and in doing so, he actually derailed productive conversation into a lopsided scandal piece. He was embarrassed and a day later hurriedly released a video himself, attempting to respond.
So I uploaded this to my video, and I open-endedly asked Mark, what's going on with the GoFundMe? Where's the money? I did not accuse him of doing anything. I did not call him names. I merely asked the question I myself was curious about, and thousands of other people in Mark's own channel have asked him, and I would imagine that includes many people who have donated to the cause.
In this video—
I'm sorry, is he in the bath? Is he on the pooper? What? Is he out of his dookie ass, his doo-doo ass, his doo-doo butt? Is that what's going on? What's going on here? Why is he on the pooper?
Tyler states that he was just asking questions. Sure, man. And OJ was just taking the Bronco for a leisurely drive.
Any donor sending money to that GoFundMe is under the impression it is going towards the larger purchase of a home, not for random living expenses that Mark will send their way in the chunks of $4,000 to $5,000 every two weeks to a month. Now, this is a great update. Kudos to Mark for giving them the money they are in fact entitled, because the donors gave the Whitakers the money, not Mark. Many people are saying, I've basically ruined the relationship between them, when in reality, that's between them.
Other than raising the valid point I spoke about earlier regarding the transparency of the GoFundMes, Oliveira spends most of his time implying that Leda is fragile for ending these fundraisers, and continuing to insist that he was just asking a simple question through his video.
If me asking that question has elicited a response in which he cancels GoFundMes forever because it calls into question what? The timeline in which he intends on giving these people the money, his ethics? Genuinely, I'm asking a very basic update question of, hey, there's a lot of people that have donated to this GoFundMe. What's going on with the money? Pure, simple, cut and dry. Mark's frustration is that I didn't email him personally, which I asked him open-endedly on the video, and we now have this update.
I love this response in particular because you can see the cogs in his head turning as he realizes—
I'm such a child. Oh, can you imagine? I was on numerous mainstream media outlets for the past couple of days. And I also interviewed Senator Bernie Sanders literally 2 hours ago. And this is what I'm predisposed with. God, what is wrong with me? 33-year-old man, by the way.
He actually doesn't have a valid response as someone who is supposedly meant to be a credible investigative journalist, and he just defaults to, well, I asked publicly, which was exactly Leda's problem, dumbass.
I just asked the question of what was going on. His response is obvious frustration and the receipt showing the transfers, which that's good. Thank God he's actually sent them the money. I think that's great. I think this easily could have been avoided if he just provided an adequate update here and there.
Yo, what's wrong with you? You need to be doing a lot more of this. Yeah, that's right, dude.
But the people are sending him their money with the expectation that it went towards a house. They were in the dark. No one knew how this was being allocated until I asked this question.
Though probably the funniest thing about this was Tyler's commitment to continue his own GoFundMe that he pledges will actually go to a house for the Whitakers.
With that being said, I currently have a GoFundMe in the link in the description of the West Virginia video.
They don't call him Tyler Vera for no reason. Oh my God, we won't move from Hitler Vera to Shitler Vera.
I donated $10,000 of my money personally. There's also a couple $1,000s in there currently raised for the Whitakers. The initial goal of combining whatever I raised with Mark's GoFundMe is now no longer obviously possible because he's given them all the money. I would imagine it's all spent.
This guy just doesn't learn. He obviously wants to use the success of the GoFundMe to prove Leda wrong, but his personal vindictiveness is clouding out the logical reality that this sort of fundraising isn't actually helping the people in this scenario. And 3 weeks later, Soft White Underbelly uploaded a video where he confronted the Whitaker family for lying about the death of a family member to siphon Mark's money for drug use.
All right. So BJ,
I understand you got a drug problem. You've told me that. We all know that. That's not a secret.
Right.
But for you to...
I'm not proud of what I did. I'm not.
Yeah, you're telling me there's a funeral today at 3 o'clock?
In light of this, and the fact that the GoFundMe didn't even come close to the goal, Oliveira refunded everyone and stated he had found a couple good houses.
What is wrong with everyone involved? What is happening here, dude? Yo, did I misunderstand? Did Software Underbelly just go over there to be like, hey, you're a drug addict and you used up all the money for your drugs? Is that what he... It is a grift off, it seems. What the hell?
But the companies just weren't interested in working with him, still desperately trying to twist the knife into Leda and prove it wasn't that hard to find a good place. All the same, he then states that both he and Leda were lied to, and expresses that he has donated his $10,000 to Coalfield Development, an organization that helps build Appalachian infrastructure. It's a good thing that he decided to actually donate that money to a worthy cause, but it also came at the expense of his credibility on the matter. This isn't the first time he's donated money to charity to deflect from his own ineptitude at handling his poorly thought out decisions. It seems his inability to separate his personal sentiments were interfering more and more in his ability to carry out fair coverage of these social issues, costing him even more credibility. And like many who lose credibility, the only solution is to go further into fanaticism. Throughout this video, we've touched upon Tyler's nature to respond to criticism with a distinct lack of grace, particularly when it came to the Soft White Underbelly saga. But little can really emphasize how Tyler's journalistic mask slips when he's called out for what is often valid criticism. Well, little other than a well-placed feature from another creator. I think this is the perfect time to introduce my first guest for today. Allow me to call on the very talented and entertaining Ghost Gum to illuminate just how tragic Tyler's handling of even the most mildest backlash has been and what it may say about his character. The floor is yours, my friend.
You know, if you're gonna be a...
He went to confront them about lying about a funeral / money for the funeral when it was used for drugs. I mean, that also is like still kind of wild. Like, it's wild to film. It's not wild to get disclosure from them or something, but just like, it's wild to film and then post on your... I don't know. Maybe am I too woke? Maybe like publicly shaming literally a family that is designated the most inbred family in America, living in squalor in West Virginia. Like, I don't know, maybe I'm being too woke.
Degenerate, opportunistic, clickbaiting grifter who LARPs as a, quote, unbiased journalist, you need to have a thick skin because you're going to get criticized a lot. And Tyler's skin is thinner than tissue paper. Now, we've already covered the Soft White Underbelly situation where Tyler tried to destroy Mark's reputation just because he wouldn't give him the Whitaker's contact information. But another situation people forget about is this one here.
This morning, I woke up to a copyright claim, a complete video takedown, and a strike on my channel for a 4-second clip of a 33-minute documentary we made in Hawaii.
Now, for context, Tyler is having a meltdown because he claims that another YouTuber named Nick Johnson falsely copyright struck one of his videos because he used, quote, 4 seconds of Nick's footage from this video, which is complete. By the way, according to Nick, Tyler used multiple clips from his video.
About a week ago, I got a notification that a lot of my content was being used in one of his Hawaii videos. So I looked at his video and I was like, yes, there's my stuff all over your video. You didn't ask me. So I put out a claim on YouTube and said that he needs to take that out of his video.
So after getting the copyright strike, Tyler emailed Nick and tried to resolve the situation, but 30 minutes later, he sent another email saying, actually, go fuck yourself. I'm taking your ass to court.
Now, the YouTuber who copyright claims my video does very similar content. I've watched a lot of his videos. I enjoy some of them. There's no beef I thought we had. There's no beef I thought we had.
There's no beef I thought we had.
But this is not fair use in the way Tyler thinks it is.
Because it's fair use, and even he knew that. The piece we put out is journalistic in nature, it's educational, it's news, it's showing what's going on out there, and it's protected under the 1976 fair use doctrine of copyright law.
Which Tyler did none of these things. He claimed he transformed the clip, but just because you put a clip in your video doesn't make it
Yeah, you can't technically use it as B-roll, by the way. Like, that is, you can't use someone else's footage. You can't use someone else's footage as your own B-roll and portray it as your own. That's why when all these news outlets, outlets used my clips from the interviews with the firefighters, like, they would do proper accreditation. Now, I don't personally care regardless if people use my stuff, but in many other circumstances, like a lot of other places would technically go after you. If they could, they have a valid reason to do so. Most people won't, for the record. Most people won't. Most people won't actually, what do you call it? Most people won't actually like go after you for using their footage for a B-roll. Just, you know, just so you understand. It's not good practice. You know, that's also March's stuff, kind of. What? March's stuff? What do you mean? Because he was holding the camera? Is that what you're trying to say? Is that what it is? Like, no, no, it doesn't work that way. It's like I still retain ownership over the intellectual property. Not that I care. I don't know why you're even bringing this up. Yeah, like what are you saying right now? Yeah, he was so proud of it on this morning. Yeah, he shot it. What are you talking about? Like, you're making it seem like Marge is gonna copy strike me over the footage. Didn't Hasan steal from Palestine? What? Not too woke. Shabby journalism is literally my biggest pet peeve. Like, I hate these MFs. I hate when MFs think they're journalists having a camera and an opinion. We've now reached. Yeah, you know what? It's mine. I'm actually taking you down. I just like now the parasocials have gotten so out of control. They're being parasocial with me and March. They're gonna be like Marat filmed some of the footage, and technically, therefore, it's his rights as well. Anyway, the point is, if it was a professional media company, like a local news channel, if there was a local news channel that originated some kind of footage, and I use this all the time because I don't care, and most news companies would never come after you for this, but the reality of the matter is, if technically, if you want to be technical about it, using a professional news, like KTLA or whatever's news coverage in your coverage as B-roll is not allowed. That's not fair use. You would have to pay for licensing if you wanted to go through the completely legal route. Okay? But at the same time, no one would actually stress over that. Most people don't stress over that sort of stuff at all, especially online.
Transformative. He didn't actually transform he just slapped it in his video and then pretended like he was the one who filmed it. I think one of the comments under this video sums it up incredibly well. While I think Nick's actions are very unfair and I do not agree with them, this might be a difficult case to win. If you used his footage without permission, that is a breach of copyright. If it was a 4-second shot that he spent thousands of dollars to get, for example, footage of a rare animal in an exotic location, then he would be pretty mad that someone just downloaded it and put it in their video. There are scenarios where people spend hundreds of thousands of dollars for a 4-second shot of very unique things. It is a very tough situation, and I think that's very well put. Now, would I file a claim over this? Probably not. Nick literally flew to Hawaii and spent time and effort to get this footage that Tyler just stole, slapped his name on it, and passed it off as his own. Like, I'm sure if
Chowder isn't wrong. Legally, he would initially own the footage, but if he's getting paid for his service and there's a contract, you would own it. But my understanding is y'all have a work for hire situation, which means you own the content. I work with determining copyright all the time for my work. This doesn't really matter anyway. Yeah, I know. For all intents and purposes, when Marge is holding a camera or when someone else is holding a camera on my stream, I'm still technically the copyright owner, but it doesn't really matter anyway. Okay? It doesn't matter because I don't even retain any sort of IP around my own content. But yes, you're right. Isn't there a case with no, it is true. What I just take photos saying is true. There's a famous case with like a monkey that took a photo, no? Like, wasn't there like a copyright case? Is that fake? Hold on. Yeah, the monkey selfie copyright dispute. Between 2011 and 2018, a series of disputes took place about the copyright status of selfies taken by Celebes crested macaques using equipment belonging to the British wildlife photographer David J. Slater. The dispute involves Wikimedia Commons and the blog TechDirt, which have hosted the images following their publication in newspapers, over Slater's objections that he holds the copyright, and people for the ethical treatment of animals who have argued that the copyright should be assigned to the macaque. Now he's calling me a monkey? Yeah, the person who pressed the button is the copyright holder. That is true, but that isn't a situation where the monkey was under contract by some other entity to produce photos for them. Expert opinions. Dude, this is crazy. A site that only accepts media available under a free content license in public domain uploaded the selfie photographs from the Daily Mail. Uploader claimed that the photographs were in the public domain as the work of a non-human animal, adding that it has no human author in whom copyright is vested. Slater discovered this a few days later and requested the Wikimedia Foundation to remove the photos. Easy derail, much bait. I can't believe this is so far removed from the point of contention. My point is, regardless, Tyler Oliveira technically violated copyright because it's not his footage, because he did not actually, he didn't change it at all. He just used the footage as B-roll, okay? If you use the footages, if you use someone else's footage as B-roll without proper accreditation or without like asking for it ahead of time, technically you're using it improperly. It's not protected under fair use. The reality of the matter is, and I've talked about this quite a bit in terms of copyright, and my principle usually is, copyright is in the eye of the retainer of said copyright, and it's entirely dependent on whether or not the copyright owner is interested in litigation. And in most circumstances, people would never stress over something like this. But because Tyler Oliveira is an asshole, I think this guy was like, yeah, you're misusing my video, misusing the videos that I shot. So I'm just going to, hit you with a copy strike, which is, I get where he's coming from. Okay.
Tyler put Nick's channel in the corner of the screen or some sort of watermark, this wouldn't be an issue. So yeah, I really don't think that whole crash out was necessary, but it's really not surprising. For somebody who makes such provocative and edgy videos, you think he could give it as much as he takes it. But this is maybe the most sensitive man on the planet. Look at how he reacted when random people, by the way, I want to emphasize that, criticized him for speaking Spanish poorly. To those bitching about my broken Spanish, how was I supposed to know that illegal immigrants don't speak a lick of English? I'm obligated to go learn their native tongue and they aren't obligated to learn mine? The out of here. This is America.
Oh my God, that's so funny. He also literally spoke broken Spanish to a dude for like half of that video, and halfway through the video, the guy goes, I speak English, right? It was hilarious. The dude just let him go for like half the video. He's like, yeah, el gonchato.
Like, dude, these are just random commenters. I don't know why you're getting so mad. And this is far from the only example. I think this video has made it abundantly clear that Tyler is a shitty journalist. So naturally, he gets criticized a lot on Twitter for being a shitty journalist. And whenever someone criticizes him, Tyler uses this classic line or something similar to it. Actually, I go out and talk with people while you sit at home, which is just such Socratic logic. I don't even know if I should attempt to engage with this argument because it's so bulletproof. This is a tweet from the YouTuber Mr. Beat, who I think summed up Tyler's shtick pretty well. Based on all the videos of his I've watched, Tyler doesn't seem to care about finding out the truth. He's not even trying to find out the story. The story is
great take. I mean, straight up. Yeah, he goes in with a preconceived bias. And to a certain degree, I also do that as well. Like, I'll admit, I have, at least through a lot more research than Tyler has dedicated to the matter, I have a mindset, right? Like, I wasn't like, oh, let me go to Skid Row and figure out what's going on there. I already have an opinion on homelessness, how this problem starts, what are the most effective methods of combating homelessness. Like, Hasan, have you ever said you're a journalist, though? No, I don't also say that I'm a journalist, although I do say that there are instances where I do journalism. Like the firefighter video is a great example of this, right? I'm not a journalist. I'm a pundit. I don't create new, I don't create new reporting. But there are instances where I can, interview someone that was otherwise inaccessible. In those circumstances, I have the capacity to actually create a new story. But even in that process, like, I'm diving into the situation with definitely a lot more information than Tyler does. You know what I mean? Like, I'm going in with a lot more additional knowledge on what the problem is, what the solutions are. I might even have my own personal biases. The difference is he goes in there with a right-wing attitude, and I wouldn't even say blind faith, but just like a right-wing attitude and a way to just try to max out on the inhumanity of the people that he's covering as his subjects.
It's already in his mind before he goes to film, and how he frames the story warps the truth. Your impartiality has been hijacked by your obsession with a particular truth existing. I went out for there and looked for it. You tweeted this from your couch. We are different. I don't think going to a place makes you an infallible authority on that place, just for the record. And I think Tyler's proof that sometimes it's the opposite. You can go to a place and still have no idea what you're talking about and learn nothing. And I just want to close this segment with my own kind of personal experience with Tyler.
To be fair, Tyler has demonstrated that he can go to a place and just learn nothing. Tyler has shown the world that he can go to a place and learn less and teach others less. than they would have known if they had never encountered the video at all. You know? He's living proof of that.
Tyler. A few months ago, my brother Dantavius posted this hilarious based meme, which of course did numbers. Tyler wasn't too happy about that. He crashed out and made this long ass tweet calling Dantavius and Vince, two of my good friends, YouTube video essayists who tell you how to think and what to think. Do not travel the world talking to real life people. See what I'm talking about here? With different perspectives than them. They photosynthesize blue light.
Seed oils into 8-hour-long slop reviews of Garfield. Dude, Tyler, you are the most soy dude, brother. What are you saying? You know, people can see what you look like, dog. What is this like? What is going on here? Like, why is every right-winger so obsessed with acting tough and being so macho and just being like, oh, dude, I bet you eat seed oils for breakfast. It's like, look at you. What have you been eating? You look like you've been sucking on the receipt paper at grocery stores. If that's the case, it's not like you don't look like a soy jack yourself. You do. Like, it's so strange to me. I don't understand when right-wingers have this like weird thing where they go like, I'm right-wing now, so that means like everyone else is soy. I, on the other hand, am macho and masculine. I'm the most masked guy you've ever seen. And it's like, dude, you own a mirror. What the hell? The beacon of alpha dog masculinity, dude. Look at this man. Like, you're a YouTuber as well. I don't know why. Like, it's so funny when YouTube slop content creators will yell at other YouTube content creators for making slop as though your version of slop is better. Like, people say this to me all the time, right? Other YouTubers and other like Twitter accounts will say this. They'll be like, all Hasan does is his home and yap. It's like, but so are you. That's what you do. We both are doing that. Like, what do you mean? I'm yapping. You're yapping about my yapping. You're not even yapping originally. You are yapping over my yap. You're doing the same thing, to be fair. Yes, I am. But there's a difference. I recognize what I'm doing. What? That's my point. My point is we're having a yap off. You are not yapping in a superior fashion here. Okay? Also, I don't look like Tyler Oliveira. And I often will never point this out unless it's like someone who's like, I'm a alpha dog, dude. I'll destroy you. You know what I mean? While also not fitting that profile, despite having no emphasis placed on being that way anyway. It's stupid.
And seed oils into 8-hour-long slot reviews of Garfield. They are the latest step in human evolution.
Yeah, if your job is posting, you're gay. As you guys know, I famously said this. If your job is posting, you're gay. I don't make the rules except for that rule. I made that rule up. You're gay. You're super gay. Okay? And yes, this means myself as well. And I have no issue with this, but you seem to have a chip on your shoulder about this.
Evolution, a humanoid mass born out of the hive mind of Twitter that echoes what they think their audience wants to hear. That is the most faux deep nonsense thing I've ever read. You think by phrasing it like this, you're saying a lot, but he's actually just saying nothing here.
Thank you, Ghost Gum. I'll leave his channel in the description below and would encourage you to check him out. He's an incredibly entertaining creator who always has something of value to say.
Putin's monkeys, yo, he better not have disparaged my boy Steven Seagal. He better not have disparaged my boy Steven Seagal. Bro. That is the national treasure that we lost to Russia. Okay? Do you understand? That's Mr. Steven Seagal to you. Multiple time award recipient Steven Seagal. That is a man who has invented his own version of fighting. That is a man who knows how to run very well, and his arms don't flap like a wacky inflatable arm man when he runs. That's all AI. The footage that you see of Steven Seagal running where his arms flap in the wind, that's all AI footage. It's a lie created by the CIA to disparage him because he is now a Russian asset. That's Mr. Deputy Sheriff of 35 years. That's Mr. Aikido Vision. Okay? Did you mean Sensei? Yes. That's Sensei. That's famous musician. Anyway, let's continue.
Hey. The same.
You want the banana?
can't be said for Tyler Oliveira, who seemed to only be venturing further into partisan territory. The situation with Mark Leda and his responses to general criticism highlighted Tyler's own shallowness and inability to actually provide useful solutions for people facing hardship. If anything, it was a wake-up call for Tyler that hard-hitting scandal pieces don't really work when there simply wasn't a scandal, and that the people you sought to attack could respond and point out your own flaws and dishonesty. What was Tyler to do with this wisdom? Would he merely attempt to cater to a less critical audience who would look past his content shortcomings, or would he actually try to change? I don't need to complete this question, you already know exactly what he chose, and there was the perfect opportunity waiting for him to make the most of that evolution.
Bing, 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 bing. Minnesota!
President Trump? I really don't know what he said at the end of that sentence.
The quadrennial U.S. presidential election is probably one of the most widely covered recurring events in international media, and probably the most covered event in America. And why wouldn't it be? It's only maybe the most influential job in the world. The last U.S. president to not win Time Person of the Year was Gerald Ford in the 1970s, and his bitch ass didn't even win an election. With so much at stake every 4 years, journalistic integrity is at the heart of the coverage of these elections. Given the increasing distrust in mainstream media and pervasive narratives of fake news and election interference,
You are fake news.
having reporters on the front line not afraid to confront these matters is more necessary now than ever. And with the recent scandals and criticisms behind him, Tyler Oliveira was ready to be that frontline journalist. But how did he perform?
Who are you voting for?
Suck my balls!
Well, friends, this is where I think I should introduce my second guest for today's video. He's been creating great content on infamous criminals over on his channel, but today he's taking a break from the stupidly morbid to talk about the morbidly stupid, as he looks at Tyler's use of the election and ensuing political tension to influence the masses with his representation of modern-day America. Take it away, Vince.
Excuse me for my congested sinuses. I live near LA. The wildfires are going on. I've gotten sick from it, so excuse my congested-sounding voice. Now, in the age of fake news and disinformation,
Oh, I feel that, brother.
Tyler Oliveira has taken the chalice to be the purveyor of truth in a world rampant with fake news and misinformation. Now, as a real journalist documentarian, you would expect Tyler to at least get the facts right. I mean, hell, that's the bare minimum of journalism, right? I mean, Tyler would never publish a story that he hadn't even done the most basic fact-checking on. Right? Now, in Tyler's investigative reports documenting the decay within these cities, oftentimes in the cities he visits, it's not as crazy as he would like it to be. While crime does happen and sometimes they're not good places to live, when Tyler holds up that camera and films around, he doesn't see the violence and crime. So to amplify his videos and justify the claims made in them, Tyler will show news clips from that city to inform the viewer of the reality of this town.
That's me in the trenches of St. Louis, the most dangerous city in America.
And these news clips are always from that city, right? I mean, hell, if he couldn't even get the facts right just on that, I mean, could you really trust anything the guy's saying when fake news is running rampant? Now, in Tyler's video, I investigated the most dangerous city in America, St. Louis, Missouri. Now, Tyler's talking to a local and he's saying how many fights break out and how there's some real bad people on the St. Louis Metrolink.
You feel safe out here?
You can't even ride the Metrolink the way.
You can't ride the Metro?
No, there's always trouble. Always they rolling weed, smoking and drinking, and there's some bad motherfucking Metrolink.
So then Tyler shows this clip of a violent robbery going down in the St. Louis Metro. But this clip isn't of a Metrolink. Hell, it's not even from St. Louis, Missouri. It's from Brooklyn, New York, 3 years ago. But maybe this is just a mistake. I mean, in the original video, Tyler clearly doctored the footage to hide the Manhattan sign right there. I mean, that has to be just a mistake, right? Totally not intentional. But let's just go later on in this video. Now, Tyler's talking to a local and he states how he has been robbed 2 times in the St. Louis Metrolink. Tyler then shows this clip of a guy with a gun getting robbed in the middle of a Metrolink. But this clip isn't even of a Metrolink. Hell, it's not even from St. Louis. It's from Chicago 5 years ago. But maybe this is just a mistake. Let's continue on. Now, in Tyler's video, I investigated the most violent city in America. Tyler goes to Memphis, Tennessee, and in the beginning, he shows the violence and the decay going on. And Tyler shows this clip to show us how bad Memphis is.
This is Memphis, the most violent city in America.
And it's a robbery at a gas station. Wow, that seems absolutely insane. But this clip isn't from Memphis, Tennessee. It's from Chicago, and Tyler even goes out of his way to edit out the Chicago Police Department logo in the corner. Now, normally this wouldn't really be a big deal, but when Tyler's calling himself a journalist, documentarian, purveyor of the truth, and you're doctoring footage to this degree, I would say that's not an accurate representation of what's going on. Now, beyond doctoring footage to amplify the violence, Tyler sometimes uses news clips to justify wild claims made in his video. Now, in Tyler's Oakland Where Every Crime is Legal video, Oakland, California, Tyler and his journalist friend state how Oakland is so bad that kids as young as 7 years old have guns.
I don't know why we're being followed when there's no doubt criminal activity left, right, and center.
A lot of the kids have guns now, so when I'm walking around, I'm not looking for some 25-year-old guy with a gun.
Watch out, 15-year-olds out here?
I'm looking for 7-year-olds with guns.
That's an insane claim. So Tyler then shows this clip of a teen in trouble to justify that statement that kids have guns in Oakland, and it's so bad that it's even on the news. But this clip isn't from Oakland. It's from Miami, Florida, 2 years ago. maybe that's just a mistake. Miami and Oakland, that kind of sound familiar. Let's continue on. Let's go to a different video. New Orleans. I investigated the murder capital of America. Now here, Tyler's guide is talking about how the kidnappings and carjackings have gone up in a huge amount in New Orleans. Sounds pretty scary. So to justify this claim, Tyler then shows this clip, and it looks pretty scary, I'm not gonna lie, that looks pretty wild. But this clip isn't from New Orleans. Hell, it's not even from the United States. It's from Albania. And there are dozens of examples of Tyler doing this in all of his videos. Now, we could go through it all day long, but frankly, I don't want to bore you. But if Tyler can't even fact check at the most basic level, making sure the clips you're using of that city are from that city, what else would Tyler mess up? A journalist would never use Photoshop and AI-generated images to fabricate things that never happened and pass them off as truth, right? Let's go to Tyler's Germany video. Now here he talks to the AFD, he visits a peaceful protest, the counter-protest, it all seems very mild. But if you look at the thumbnail, you would expect there to be Klansmen in robes, Heil Hitler signs, swastika flags, which are illegal to fly in Germany, to be in that video. Now, if Tyler's claiming to be a journalist, why would he use things that have never happened in the video as the thing to get people to click on the video? Is that really documenting the truth? I mean, let's go to his Jamaica video. Now, in the video, it's pretty peaceful, nothing's crazy. Wow, Jamaica seems like a great place to go. But the thumbnail would give you a completely different image. We see a caricature of a Rastafarian man, mind you, a religion of peace and nonviolence, holding an AR-15 with spent casings on the ground, and the islands being set on fire. When do we see this in the video? Never. Once again, I would just say, is that really documenting truth, the reality? So if Tyler can't get the thumbnails right, and he also can't even get his own footage that he uses in his videos right, I mean, Tyler would never get the entire story wrong, right? Now let's go to his video, Inside the Ohio Town Invaded by Cat-Eating Haitians. Now, this was a
This is a condensed version of the video that we watched already with Vince, by the way. It's the same video, so I'm gonna skip through it. We already saw all of this. Vince did a fantastic hour-long video on Tyler Oliveira, and this is like basically the condensed version of it.
The same can't be said about Tyler Oliveira, who, since recognizing that you can foster an uncritical audience if your talking points are extreme enough, is not even attempting to hide his blatant bias or lack of research. Whereas in the past, his content may have possessed occasional dog whistles to the far right, now it just contains whistles. It's hard to choose from all the content that selects various minorities to scapegoat, but I thought we'd head over to Britain for Oliveira's coverage of an unashamedly controversial figure. This is Tommy Robinson, a dude so far right that notoriously right-wing politician Nigel Farage once called him a thug. Robinson has incited—
Like, that's literally a fascist. Calling another fascist a bridge too far. Okay? Nigel Farage and the Reform Party are the modern version of British fascism right now. Okay? And even those guys are like, Tommy Robinson is so far out there that like our politically viable fascist party will look bad if we align with him.
Multiple incidents of violence, some against children, and rioting through the misinformation that he's spread, which isn't even covered under free speech in America. He's also stalked multiple people and literally turned up at their houses, just full-on sniper wolf style, and that is only scratching at the surface.
Is Tommy Robinson a far-right Islamophobic racist? Or is he a brave journalist speaking up on real issues the mainstream media refuses to acknowledge?
At the time that Oliveira uploaded this video, Robinson was in jail again for repeating provable false allegations he already admitted to, including a fake photograph against a 15-year-old refugee who faced vicious harassment following Robinson's libel.
The far-right activist was supposed to be at the High Court this morning, but failed to turn up. And now the government says he's left Britain altogether. The case involves a Syrian child
Yes, this is the guy that Elon Musk likes. Not likes, loves, as a matter of fact. Oh, God, it's so freakish. It's so bad.
refugee Jamal Hijazi, who went viral in 2018 after being attacked at his Huddersfield school. Hijazi sued Robinson 3 years later for falsely claiming he'd attacked 2 girls. Hijazi won the case and the court banned Tommy Robinson from repeating the allegations. But last year, Robinson released a film called Silenced and gave 3 interviews in which it's been alleged that he repeated the same false claims.
However, in the recent video, England, where free speech is illegal, Oliveira attempts to evangelize Robinson and his alleged struggles against the state, referring to a recent situation involving the tragic murder of 3 young girls and the following rioting that took place. This video features basically a great replacement narrative and the idea that Tommy Robinson was a pioneer in speaking out against the evils of Islam and what he believed to be their grooming gangs. The whole image of Robinson is absurdly misguided and only seeks to satisfy the warped perceptions of his own followers.
Tommy is referring to the now infamous grooming gangs, where thousands of non-Muslim girls across England every year are targeted on the basis of being white, referred to as easy meat by mostly Pakistani men who would get them hooked onto drugs and then sex traffic them. Tommy's cut.
Literally every part of what he just said is a lie. That's so crazy. We looked at the statistics. Like, that's so insane, man. The only group that's overrepresented in the statistics for doing sex crimes is white British people.
Cousin was a victim of these gangs. The British police didn't do anything despite knowing about the rapes, and the media would not acknowledge or report on the story out of fear that they would be called racist or Islamophobic. Tommy was, in essence, the first person to vocally speak up against these gangs.
This would be true if you just ignored the many people, organizations, and charities who did actually speak out about them before Robinson came along. People who did research, brought light to these issues, and in many cases it provided the building blocks for convictions that came after. Robinson didn't even speak out about it until after convictions were made, and he saw an agenda he could reap.
Now, you know, if we're going to be really honest, the people that have exposed scandals throughout the country is survivors contacting the media. And when you get people such as, you know, Britain's First or Tommy Robinson and other people saying, actually, we exposed Roswell and we exposed other places. Well, no, you didn't.
This is what people like Robinson do. In 2004, a filmmaker who was trying to shed light on these exact issues in a documentary film had her work hijacked by the British National Party, another far-right political movement who wanted to take her coverage and turn it into a party political broadcast, which then in turn led to various campaign groups to protest it. The film's airing was nearly cancelled entirely, and in the end aired at a later date, many years before Robinson would publicly jump on the cause. It's very possible that the involvement of the far right has interfered with these stories being brought to light, and in the past, Tommy has almost done that himself. In 2018, he almost collapsed an ongoing trial by live streaming outside the court during a reporting ban.
Look at that bus.
His supporters were mad that he was being punished for speaking out, not recognizing that you can't sequester juries in the UK, and therefore a defense could use any interference to let potential child rapists walk free. The reporting ban was raised after the jury reached their verdicts. If Tommy had just waited, then he would have been able to rant all he wanted after the trial. Of course, if criminals had walked free, then Tommy would have had even more to be mad about, and more to tweet to his followers, and all the more reason to court their funds.
See what these are? You obviously understand what these are.
What are these?
Diversity barriers.
These?
Well, they're to stop terrorist attacks.
It's real?
I'm not joking. They're diversity barriers. This will go straight back up now, and these are to stop cars coming through and mowing everyone down.
Okay.
And we have these in every town centre. You know our Christmas markets now are literally just entire things like this, fortified to get anywhere near the Christmas market because they expect cars to come flying into them.
There's a traffic calming measure for pedestrianized areas, Tommy. Like the bollards allow freight and bulk goods to come in and out, but also—
This guy just screams white nationalist. No, he is. I mean, he literally is. Okay, Tommy Robinson is just straightforwardly a white nationalist. Like, okay, let's get back to issues that I do know a lot about, okay? That man is a neo-Nazi, okay? He's also pro-Israel, but, you know, that just means he's doubly invested in fascism. He's fascism overseas, fascism in England. Major Islamophobe, in and out of legal trouble routinely. Straight up a white nationalist. Like I said, unironically too far for Nigel Farage. That's all you need to know.
Also allow for the area to be predominantly walkable? Come on, guys, you have to know this.
Is that road we just drove down, walk through there, and that is a microcosm of the future of Great Britain. Yeah? It's Islamic. I'm just here to explain to you as an American, these centres are opened in every one of our towns, and the purpose of these centres, which are funded by our local Labour councils, is to convert the town to Islam. So the local Labour political party, which is your
the Labour Party is creating Islamic centers to convert Christian Britons into Islam, paid for by the Labour Party. Tommy Robinson is a neo-Nazi, but the EDL tried to claim he wasn't, probably because their members can't say neo-Nazi because their teeth fell out. To be fair, they can't say many things. Remember, Islamic ray guns. That's the EDL, also known as the English Defence League, lads.
Democrat Party are funding the conversion of the town into an Islamic ghetto like this.
He's just a liar. It's almost funny how much he's stringing Tyler along, but Tyler doesn't care because Tommy and Tyler are united in their mission. They need struggle, they need crime, they need disorder, they need stuff to rile people up about. They need people to scapegoat because if we did actually have a solution and working system, then they'd both be out of a job. It's indicative of how far Tyler has fallen, given that he was never really that good in the first place, but this content is dangerous at a certain point. Reactionary talking points backed up by selective interviews designed to tell a one-sided story, and he knows exactly who he's appealing to.
Pegida means patriotic Europeans against Islamization of the West. We are fighting 10 years now against Islamization, which is taking over all over Europe. But in the meantime, in these 10 years, there came more themes and more themes. We are now fighting against these crazy genderism and as well.
Less than a year back, if you went to one of his comment sections on his videos, you'd at least see some compassion for the subject. Now, you just see genuinely unhinged commenters basically saying out loud what Tyler spends the whole video inferring. You may not be your audience, but if you find yourself with an audience who parrot crime rate talking points like the KKK talk about African Americans, then I think you may have something to do with fostering that. I don't know.
I want to put a knee on your chest for 13 minutes. Tell me what that would do to you without a thing in your system. Tell me. You think you could do 13 minutes without no oxygen?
This is where I was planning to end the video, deliver a nice, tasty conclusion, and send all of you on your merry way. But before I could reach this point, Tyler had just one last surprise in store for me, and oh my god, he decided to cover George Floyd. Of all the videos to release as I was writing this, he chose George Floyd? I mean, I can't ignore it, but I think I'm gonna need some more.
It's crazy that he went back to like the old right-wing hits. Like, he's going back in time. It's like when someone wants to do like a Hasan is bad video and they start talking about how I own a house after they run out of other stuff. You know what I mean? Socialism means you're supposed to be poor. It's like, dude, that was like 11 dramas ago. You know what I mean? George Floyd at this point, like doing a documentary or an investigation on George Floyd's murder when it's like an open and shut case that is been dealt with, where the person responsible for his execution almost got executed in prison. Okay, that's how super done this is, and this guy is still trying to do right-wing narratives on it. It's very obviously, it is so obviously just like a desperate plea, a desperate attempt to just farm right-wingers as much as possible.
More backup on this one. My third and final guest for today has already made a couple Tyler videos, so he's probably just as tired as I am, but I'm hoping that, like Vince Carter,
I think he's done great. This dude, Saji Sharma.
He has one more in him. Viewers, supporters, and haters, allow me to introduce Saji Sharma, covering Tyler Oliveira, covering George Floyd. Yeah, go for it, Saji.
Thank you, Jay, for not only trusting me with the last segment of this video, but for also giving me another opportunity to talk shit about Tyler Oliveira. I will take as many of those as I can. And I mean, for Christ's sake, Tyler's trying to debunk George Floyd's murder in the year 2024. He's just asking for it at this point. But before we even get into the video itself, in true Tyler fashion, we gotta look at the thumbnail and title, which in this case, the title is, I investigated George Floyd's murder, with murder being in quotations. Tyler's vetted unbiased journalism, everybody. And the thumbnail, which has a mural of George Floyd and rows of police officers bowing in front of it, which clearly this is some kind of AI generated image. Tyler loves those. But now the video looks more interesting because I don't know what stance Tyler's going to take. I mean, have you heard about the epidemic of police officers in mass mourning over George Floyd? Because I certainly haven't, and I'd love to hear more about that. Well, you may be a little disappointed to find out that that's
Tyler has already done a Hasan as a house desperation takes. Hasan have been critiquing capitalism from his mansion in LA while calling me a Viewmaxer as he reacts to all my videos to sustain his career is pretty silly, especially given the half of the last 6 months videos were instantly demonetized or age restricted. Lame. Damn, that was a banger for him, bro. 284 likes. Really popping off big time. Oh, what's that? Oh, that's an interview from earlier today where I interviewed Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders. That's my mistake.
Not what the video's about. God, Tyler got us again. No, this video is about a conspiracy surrounding the cause of George Floyd's death. Who would have thought Tyler would stoop so low? Me, I did. This video is almost an hour long, and it really only needs to be 10 minutes maybe. The conspiracy, also, isn't even a new one, which would have been so much more entertaining. Tyler doesn't think police officer Derek Chauvin killed George Floyd. Instead, he thinks that George Floyd died due to an overdose in already exemplary heart conditions. Now, this video is terribly easy to debunk because of all of the overwhelming evidence and information in support of the former and already fact-checked claim that George Floyd was murdered by Derek Chauvin. But I want to wait to go over that, because there's arguably more important things to be said about Tyler's continuing trend of borderline promotional advertising in his journalism videos. Although Tyler tries to paint it like both possible causes of George Floyd's death could be plausible, so it's time to do some investigative work and find out the truth. If you're familiar with Tyler Oliveira's work even a little bit, you would know that he's already decided which side he believes. Not only does he subtly give it away when his ears perk up and his eyes widen after he runs into strangers that
Tyler Oliveira about to be like, I investigated Adolf Hitler to see the controversial figure. Was he all wrong?
happen to agree with his political beliefs.
It's all a joke.
It's all a joke?
Yep.
In what sense?
He overdosed.
He overdosed on the fentanyl?
But he also...
My favorite type of journalism, asking random on the sidewalk. That's what journalism is about.
Blatantly gives it away by outright promoting an alt-right conspiracy-fueled documentary called The Fall of Minneapolis.
Given that the only time I'd seen the police body cam footage in full and dissected at length in a documentary titled The Fall of Minneapolis.
That's right. Revealed halfway through this video, Tyler just straight up shows us his hand, which, you know, he tends to do a lot. Just explicitly, without shame, indirectly admits that the video is a complete puff piece. Created by Liz Collins of Alpha News, a conservative news outlet, which you probably could have gathered by their name. The Fall of Minneapolis is a documentary dissecting the body footage and autopsy report of the George Floyd incident. This documentary paints itself like it's revealing all of this top secret footage and information that big government doesn't want you to see. Even though everything shown in The Fall of Minneapolis was indeed presented in the Chauvin trial itself. And essentially, all of Liz Collins' points end up mimicking the same defense of Chauvin's own attorney. Tyler spends the rest of this video interviewing Liz Collins along with her husband, who, of course, is the former president of the Minneapolis Police Union, Bob Kroll.
Who, in 2020, came to be known by the public as Bob KK Kroll.
Which, if you don't know who he is, let's run down a list of fun things he's...
Got him. I mean, also... it probably fits, you know? I suspect that name is well-deserved.
He's done in his career, which includes, but is not limited to, the fact that he engaged in excessive force against community members and was named in a number of civil suits, was reported by his own fellow officers for calling U.S. Representative Keith Ellison, the first Muslim in Congress, a terrorist. In 2007, he was sued for racial discrimination by 5 black officers, one of whom later became the police chief, and a year later, in 2008, he was suspended along with a fellow officer for beating a man in the street and then having him arrested on false charges, all while out of uniform and without identifying themselves as police. I could keep going, but I think I've proven my point here. The nickname Bob KKK Kroll is beyond fitting, and in fact, I think it's tame. Now, the main claims that are made in this video are shared with the documentary, in that we're basically watching an advertisement for the documentary. Nothing about the original talking points are altered or challenged really at all. Tyler is a puppet transfixed by enlightenment and is blindly regurgitating skewed and incorrect talking points. Liz Collins' main argument is that George Floyd overdosed and that he had pre-existing health complications.
3 times the lethal limit of fentanyl in his system, methamphetamine. He has very large organs, blockage in his heart. He has a paraganglioma, which is a tumor in his hip. He's been described to me as, sadly, kind of a ticking time bomb.
Right, yeah, okay, so he was just gonna die anyway? The point here that they're trying to make is that these causes are completely separate and independent from anything Derek Chauvin did. But there is really no evidence that...
Everybody knows when you get shot in the chest, for example, not in the George Floyd case, but everybody knows that if you get shot in the chest, it's not actually the person who shot you in the chest that's what killed you. It's the medical complications that you had ahead of time. That is the responsible... That is actually what ended up killing you, not the person who shot you in the heart. Okay, your heart was slated to stop. Everybody knows.
Drug use or health complications were the main factors in George Floyd's death. Liz here, and subsequently Tyler as well, really highlight the fact that George had drugs in his system, emphasizing that there were lethal amounts of fentanyl and methamphetamine found in his toxicology report. However, Liz used the term lethal in a very objective manner.
3 times the lethal limit of fentanyl in his system, methamphetamine. He has...
When how lethal a substance is varies entirely from person to person. In a Reuters article fact-checking the evidence for drug overdose in the cause of George Floyd's death, Peter T. Lynn, a forensic and general autopsy pathologist who co-authored a study on the reliability of post-mortem fentanyl levels when determining determining the cause of death, says that there is no such thing as a fatal drug concentration, because many other factors must be considered beyond the postmortem drug concentration, Lynn said. An important concept in cause of death determination is that multiple potential causes may be present, and it is the job of the certifying medical examiner to sort through those potential causes and choose a primary cause and or multiple contributory causes. In support of their own claim, Liz Collin references Dr. Andrew Baker, a pathologist brought to testify during the trial, who stated that George Floyd had severe underlying heart disease, which therefore affected his death. But even in the clip that Tyler uses in his video, Dr. Baker clarifies that even still, the law enforcement's subdual of George Floyd was the initial catalyst.
Now, in the context of an altercation with other people that involves things like physical restraint, that involves things like being held to the ground, that involves things like the pain that you would incur from having your cheek up against the asphalt, an abrasion on your shoulder, those events are going to cause stress hormones to pour out into your body, specifically things like adrenaline. And what that adrenaline is going to do is it's going to ask your heart to beat faster. It's going to ask your body for more oxygen so that you can get through that altercation. And in my opinion, the law enforcement subdual restraint and the neck compression was just more than Mr. Floyd could take by virtue of those heart conditions.
He even states in the same trial, in a clip that Tyler decided to leave out of the video entirely, that his heart disease did not cause the subdual or the neck restraint.
Mr. Floyd's use of fentanyl did not cause the subdual or neck restraint. His heart disease did not cause the subdual or the neck restraint.
Without those two things done by Derek Chauvin and the other officers, Mr. Floyd would not have died, he testified.
But of course, these people think that Chauvin's neck restraint was actually the correct thing to do. In fact, Liz Collin believes that Chauvin did nothing wrong and actually used the proper police technique to hold and pin down George Floyd, called the maximal restraint technique. And Liz tries to paint it like no one's heard about this or known of its existence because 2 pages were mysteriously missing from the Minnesota handbook.
Not only that, but it's very early, within the first couple of days, that I noticed that there are 2 pages that are mysteriously missing from the police training manual.
Which I don't know how you would prove that. This is an online PDF manual anyone can download and access at any time. And how did you know 2 of the 700 pages were missing? As much as she's trying to make it seem, Liz Collin was not the first person to uncover the secret, hidden Minneapolis Police Department training manual. The proper technique use was actually a big point of contention during the trial. And on top of that, the manual itself specifies the maximal restraint technique shall only be used in situations where handcuffed subjects are combative and still pose a threat to themselves, officers, or others, or could cause significant damage to property if not properly restrained. There is even direct instruction to place the subject in the recovery position to alleviate positional asphyxia. Dr. Martin Tobin, a pulmonologist that testified during the trial, stated that George Floyd died of asphyxia. The same asphyxia the manual directly instructs on how to avoid. If you're interested in uncovering more of the BS Liz Collin and Alpha News spew in their documentary, because there is a lot, I recommend checking out Dina Winter's thorough review. She does a great job fact-checking and uncovering all of the manipulative points and false claims made. I'll let Jay know to leave it in the description for you. So, okay, Derek Chauvin incorrectly executed an unnecessary training technique, which factually overshadows any and every other nitpick these morons have of a dead man. And guess what? Guess what? These were all things covered and discussed extensively during the trial. None of it is new information. But yet, somehow, that's not even the worst part of this video. No, the worst part of this entire video is at the end, when Tyler shows us a deepfake of white George Floyd.
And would the situation have played out the exact same if George Floyd was white?
Back to you, Jay, with the weather. Hopefully it's a bit more sunny on your end.
Thank you. It's not. And also, I hate that I had to see that image. Still, I'd highly recommend Saji's work. He produces really illuminating, socially conscious commentary in an era where so many other creators are appealing to the lowest common denominator for views. Saji stands out from the rest and is an excellent entertainer.
Agreed.
The same can't be said about Tyler Oliveira, who by now I've run out of patience for. I can't wait around any longer to analyze his dogshit content just in case he releases a video promoting David Duke as a true American patriot, as other influencers have done. We need this to end, and I know just the place. We are currently living in an increasingly divided and polarized world.
Dude, that's so gross, man. It's just like, I don't know what it is. I mean, I think like the pure unadulterated racism I'm used to at this point, but it's also like it's not the sense of entitlement with it, but it's like the subtle nod that what you're doing is like so gross, and it almost is like inviting a retaliation, like sometimes even like physical, violent retaliation. And it's like, what are you going to do about it? Like, it almost feels like you're challenging the audience to do something about it. You know what I mean? It's so gross. It's like, yeah, I can do this and there's nothing you can do in retaliation. That's what it feels like. It's so smug in how overtly racist it is.
World. We are guaranteed to have at least a few more years of tension, unrest, and very likely violence. In this era of political turmoil, we need people who are going to ask the real questions, veer away from propaganda, and lead by example. And yet, this is the guy millions of people go to for investigative journalism now.
After Mr. Beast hit 6 million subscribers, I decided to train, both physically and mentally. And before I knew it, I had my chance to face the Beast.
Yeah. It is like Doherty. Tyler Oliveira is the Jack Doherty of right-wing slop, right-wing street journalism in air quotes. Great take, chatter.
Again.
Tyler Oliveira has evolved in the time that he's been on YouTube, but his core mission has never changed: to win influence and attention at all costs. At the start of this video, I noted a simple piece of advice that Tyler gave his audience shortly after launching his channel. Sell yourself as the person they want you to be. And sure enough, that is the precise code Tyler has lived and still lives by. It started with him embarrassing himself to draw attention, leeching off larger YouTubers, and copying their styles and formats to possess even a fraction of their clout. He went through the motions of content creation and developed a formula that would keep him successful. Then, as people's tastes evolved, he found himself directed towards investigative content, often showing other people in harrowing or compromising situations. However, without the necessary nuance, and with Tyler often emphasizing scandal and shock value over productive conversation, never really straying too far from his rather tabloid roots, it really just became glorified poverty porn, which in turn drew criticism from those he portrayed or interviewed. Going out on a limb here, but I don't think Tyler ever understood the plights of the destitute. After all, we're talking about a guy who tried to soak up a swimming pool with paper towels, but over time, he decided that rather than tap into the inherent—
He used to do unboxing videos. He did everything. He did everything. He did self-help guru stuff too. He literally has done everything. There's a lot of stuff in this video that Jabri put out that I didn't know about Tyler Oliveira as well.
Human pity, people may feel.
You say, I've never even heard of this Tyler guy, but if you go look at his view counts, you will understand how devastating it is. Because this is not just about Tyler Oliveira. This is like, oh, it's so much worse. It's, oh, Jesus Christ. It's about where YouTube slop is going.
On Christmas Eve.
Like, where YouTube slop is going is so devastating. Inside the Dominican Republic's most dangerous hood. Inside of Philadelphia's real-life zombie outbreak. Vancouver, Disneyland for drug addicts. Inside the rise of Germany's neo-Nazis, air quote. I investigated George Floyd's murder. Inside the country that kills disabled people. England, where free speech is illegal. Like, the canceled YouTuber who became Europe's most feared politician. I mean, I don't know about that one. But basically, it's dire. Like, a lot of gamer channels are just doing right-wing politics coverage. It seems to be the new meta. Yeah. Brandon Buckingham does this type of shit too. I'm not gonna lie, and I've said this before already, but like, as much as Brandon Fuckingham loves the pedophile neo-Nazi Sam Hyde, even he does like from the clips that I have seen and the subject matter that he covers, he actually does a better job than Tyler Oliveira on a lot of the issues that he quote unquote investigates. It's not my cup of tea, and I certainly am not a fan of the guy, but you know, Tyler Oliveira is so obviously tilted his content in this like slop. I do not know why he hates you. What do you mean? Of course you don't know why he hates me. What do you mean? He's a fan of a pedophile neo-Nazi by the name of Sam Hyde. Tommy G is turning right-wing. It seems he always gets political and focuses on right-wing beliefs. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, there's so many of these content creators out there that initially start off, like Tommy G also is like he's done a lot of interesting coverage. Tommy G, like, what that was the guy that did the Kia Boys one, right? Sam is a pedo. 22-month subscriber asking me if Sam Hyde is a pedophile. The answer is yes, dude. Yes. Numerous. I didn't know a single damn thing about this motherfucker. until he was like, I'm going to kill you. I'm going to kill you. And everything I learned about this dude is against my will. All right. Explain why Sam is a neo-Nazi pedo. Brandon's actually pretty ethical or everything. Pedo neo-Nazi. Explain why Sam Hyde is a pedophile neo-Nazi. He gave $5,000 to the Andrew Anglin Defense Fund and routinely talks about neo-Nazi shit. And also has numerous credible allegations about like beating the shit out of underage girls that he is sexually assaulted. How did these people like what? Genuinely was curious. I saw this would take an ounce of Googling. Please do not engage. Yeah. At this point, even people who have previously collaborated with him, even people who had previously collaborated with him when he was on his fuck Hasan arc that knew he was a neo-Nazi have decided to openly call him a neo-Nazi, by the way. And yes, I'm referring to Destiny. A fact I brought up to Brandon Fuckingham when he tried to talk to me all friendly like in the aftermath of the Creator Clash gathering. Yeah. I spoke to this guy who told me he would rather steal hundreds of thousands of dollars from child cancer research in exchange for not being in the same room as someone he suspected of being a Nazi. All his friends agreed. It's funny how you were talking about making amends and being chill regardless of our differences and beliefs. Then 2 months later, grew the balls to tweet this. Bro was red in the face and stuttering while talking to us too. Funny. Yeah, that's him. They took a little sneak shot here, a little creep shot, and then only months later posted it, which made it really funny. What makes it really funny, this is crazy. He went to Lebanon. No, that's why I'm saying like I'm willing to look at even someone this bad in a very different light if they're going all the way out to Lebanon and like talking to people in southern Lebanon that have been bombed by Israel. Okay. Having said that, however, you know, do what you will with this information that has been presented to you. Why is he red? I don't know. I don't know why he was so uncomfortable. Maybe because I had called his favorite content creator who he's wearing the shirt of a pedophile neo-Nazi. Let's continue.
For the underprivileged, he wanted to tap into the anger at those who he believed were disenfranchising them. At first, these were institutions, politicians, people, or organizations who criticized him, but eventually this mission became more politically charged as he focused his aim on immigrants, refugees, and minorities. Now, I don't think Tyler could even tell the difference between the three, but I don't think he'd even care to. As he was cast aside by those with any shred of integrity, he allied with increasingly extremist figures, those who would gladly accept any coverage from the mainstream, which has in turn influenced Tyler's videos, to the point that he's gone from talking about cities that struggle with homelessness to entertaining violent far-right figures, shining them in a heroic light, and entertaining whatever conspiracy theories they may advocate, which was hardly an unexpected pivot. The far-right regularly looks after their own, regardless of what transgressions they may have to their name. For someone like Tyler, whose reputation as a journalist was constantly being called into question by those who were concerned about his coverage of current affairs, he would always be defended by those who supported his agenda, regardless of what he said or did and whether it was actually accurate or fair. In the face of his critics, he continues to defend himself under the thin veil of just asking questions. It's not like his Twitter nowadays hides his overt political bias, but in the content, he still tries to present himself as an honest observer, rather than the flagrant opportunist he actually is. If you ask people like Tommy Robinson for their life stories and offer practically no pushback on anything they say, then you are uncritically platforming, not actually creating an accurate or challenging portrait. His buddy Jonathan Cho could have told him that. I'm sure he'd protest that nobody on the left or center wants to talk to him, which can't imagine why that would be, but we all know why he's doing this. The dude is out for himself, and that's always been abundantly clear whenever he has to confront criticism. You rarely see any self-reflection, you just see the fragility of his ego on full display.
Really, honestly, I don't feel like you're racist, I just feel like you're just a dick, that's your character. I'm not a dick!
Hell, he doesn't even have to respond to criticism anymore. He can just say he's triggering the libs and immediately court the same—
What is it? Hasan is officially my bitch. After pathetically drafting a tweet on live stream to respond to mine, he realizes the ratio is inevitable and accepts defeat. Stay off of Twitter for the next 7 days and I'll forgive you for existing. I own you. That's crazy.
The same uncritical audience he's pandering to on his YouTube channel. I think it's really important to emphasize that people like Tyler don't want us to ever actually overcome the problems
he owns me. He owned my ass, dude.
Reports on. It's why he gave up actually exploring the causes of these issues a long time ago. He doesn't want people to be informed. He just wants them to be ignorant and angry, because that is when conflict arises.
Don't wave at me, you sorry saying. I tell them like it is. Fuck, man, I don't like them. I don't like them, and I want them to know I don't like them. Pack up and move back to Haitieville, wherever the fuck you're from.
He wants this disruption to thrive so he could go into ground zero with a microphone and a camera, interviewing those who
Why does he pose like an alpha bro? I don't know. I do know, actually. That's not.
stoke the division. He thrives on anger, on conflict, on suffering, and the destruction that often brings. And of course, we should be angry sometimes, given the state of our world. Things are messed up beyond comprehension, but we should also have an idea of what we want to do about the problems that pervade our society as well. The first step is to understand these problems, and that will never come down to one demographic or one person. It's an institutional rot, one that will require a lot of time and concerted effort to seriously address. People want simple answers and identifiable enemies because it's what seems the most manageable, and in Tyler's case, profitable. But most of the time, that's simply not the case. And I do think it's our job as commentators to make sure there isn't just this irresponsible scapegoating and speculation that could escalate into more prejudice and violence. While he has followers who are willing to watch this content, donate to his channel, and pay for his Patreon, Tyler Oliveira has no reason to change. In fact, with mind to his philosophy, it may be the motive to only push him further and further into misinformation under the frivolous guise of journalism. My only hope is that Tyler's shameless greed and selfishness will eventually betray him once people's preferences for content shifts again, and he finds himself saddled by videos that are no longer rewarding, and any new popular genres that he could tie himself to don't take well to creators who fawn after fascists. But as said earlier, the far right will probably take him in as long as he still has some sort of following. He may end up on Fox News, or maybe in Washington as the new Attorney General. I mean, only time will tell. But when you look at what real journalists put themselves through on a daily basis, it shows that a lot of people don't actually care about learning what's going on in the world. They just want their views reinforced by shallow, sensationalist bullshit. And Tyler just so happens to be the courier of that crap. A Lou Bloom type, so lacking in basic morals and original thoughts that all he can do is mirror the culture's ugliest habits. And maybe that's a reflection on all of—
Oh no. He's not a journalist.
Us too. A tangible sign of that exact institutional rot. It's also a sign that something does need to change if we want interlopers like Oliveira to become irrelevant. Whether that's improving the conditions on the streets or decreasing people's angst towards fellow human beings, we absolutely need to work harder to improve the systems at the heart of our society. To stop people feeling the way they feel when they watch Oliveira's content and think that he offers any sort of answer to their problems. Most well-meaning creators who report on this stuff aren't threatened by the idea that their job might become obsolete in a utopia, but
Call me
Tyler
pancakes.
is. And that's
Thank you for the
because he
10
has
gifted
nothing
subs.
actually constructive or original to offer society, and he never has. His whole shtick is copying other people's content, writing off other people's narratives, and being the vessel for whatever agenda he thinks is going to bolster his bank account. This is a guy who was previously so sympathetic to drug addicts who have their products laced with fentanyl, barely a year later using fentanyl intoxication as a point to imply that George Floyd wasn't murdered. We are living in an increasingly divided world. Tension is inevitable, and unfortunately so is the fact that influential figures exist to take advantage of such tension. Figures like Tyler Oliveira. Tyler is a scumbag, but he's also a shallow reflection of society. A person who shifts his morals on the basis of who's watching. A man who is what his audience wants him to be. Our job should not be to merely address him, but to address the conditions that make content like his so profitable. Then maybe we can begin making popular investigative journalism on YouTube more representative of the world we live in, and send Tyler Oliveira back to doing whatever this is. I still blame Mr. Beast.
Great video. Great video from friend of the show, Aubrey. Fantastic, well researched, well sourced, good opinions overall, 10-10, no notes.